Matt? Yes, sir. Thank you. Bring it back this morning. Oh, just give it away. All right. Thank you.
And where do you live? Yeah, he lives.
I'm busy. All these people want to talk.
That's all right.
I have never.
Hi, guys.
Never.
Okay, good morning, Victor. See, we don't want to jinx it.
Since it's not on the agenda.
No.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you? Michelle, how are you? I just want to say good morning, and
Good morning, Captain
before we get
Vincent.
started, on behalf of the Lorain County Fire Chiefs Association and the Lorain Police Chiefs Association, there's a temporary restraining order barring you and stopping you from voting today.
Yeah, we know. Well aware of it.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, before we start the meeting, agenda item number, maybe nobody knows this, but item number 13 is not on the agenda. So therefore, some of the complaints we heard is that they wanted more time to review. We brought in MCM today. They're up here in the front row. We have a room D is open. And I hate to do this to you, Arm Brewster, but you are, and I think, is Dan Gross here? He was. Okay. I would like to have the two of you go with MCM and then go into room D and have a open discussion on what the questions are, what the concerns are. And since item number 13 is no longer on the agenda, anybody that wishes to talk about radios will be doing so in the public section at the end of the meeting. And so therefore, if MCM, if you guys don't mind following, you guys know where room D is? Okay. So if you guys could leave, and if anybody wishes to discuss this right now, that's fine. And then they can.
Not making a decision. They have questions,
This is-
technical questions, those will be answered.
Yeah, there's no voting, there's no voting members that are gonna be
Violation
there,
of the Sunshine Law.
so room number 3, so,
And our council will be involved in discussion. Do not go in that room today. Stay in this room in the meeting. We will rally together and chiefs,
we got that.
associations, we will discuss it ourselves and invite MCM. If they do not choose to show up, we'll go further.
Here we go.
Do not leave this room.
Okay, well, that's your prerogative. That is your prerogative, so.
Oh, I have a copy.
Okay. Yeah, welcome. It's December 15th. Well, it's 9:40 Friday. Welcome to the Lorain County Board of Commissioners meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Commissioner Moore,
I am here.
Commissioner Dell,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Here.
Under resolutions number 1, investments.
This is today's investments. I move to approve.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Dell,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Number 2, appropriations.
These are today's appropriations. I move to approve.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Dell,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Number 3, transfers.
It's today's transfers. Any questions? Move to approve.
A second.
Discussion.
Yes, I see the clerk's transfer on there of $1 million. I'd like to thank the clerk of courts, Tom Orlando. Back to the general fund.
Anything further? Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Dell.
Aye.
Number 4, advances and repayments.
This is today's advances. Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Number 5, requisitions, we had none. Number 6, travel, we had none. Number 7, bills.
We have 4 pages. This is page 1 of 4. Page 2, please. And page 3. And page 4. And I move to approve pages 1 through 4.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Number 8, commissioners may recess an executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
Move to approve the personnel summary sheet.
Second?
Discussion.
Yeah, I don't have a copy of mine. Can you-
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
E, public, are we doing that one?
Yeah, I think so.
E, public comment on agenda items.
We have Amy Richards in regards to item number 18.
My first time.
Oh, hey, Amy. Item number
Hi.
18 on the agenda.
Amy Richards, I live in 35689 State Route 303, Grafton Township. I'm talking about item number 18, the waivers for the trash. I'm asking you to extend the waivers for Rumpke and Kimball to deliver trash to their out-of-county landfills. For the past 10 years, 12 townships and villages, Amherst, Brighton, Carlisle, Eaton, Elyria, Grafton, Huntington, Penfield, Pittsfield, Rochester, and Sheffield, and the city of Avon Lake have comprised the trash consortium, have kept their garbage bills affordable by jointly contracting with their haulers. If these waivers are not renewed, the trash consortium, currently almost 22,000 households, will be destroyed. Republic Waste refused to submit a bid for upcoming 5-year contract. Without the competition from Rumpke and Kimball, Republic will again have a monopoly and gouge the rural residents of Lorain County. My personal garbage bill, trash only, not recyclables, with Republic Waste in 2013 was $20 more per quarter than Rumpke's bill is today for the upcoming contract. This is Rumpke's 5-year contract price will be untouched through 2028. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, that was it.
Is that it?
The rest is all on the agenda.
Is there any old business?
No old business.
I signed up to speak on 10 and 11.
You had healthcare.
I did them on both.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what, Brian? You're right. There it is. On the bottom of it, you had healthcare. So, okay. Thanks.
Brian Baker, Brownhelm Township. On 10 and 11, I think maybe I missed something. In July and September, we said we were going to have public budget hearings. Did I miss those somehow? Did we have any public budget hearings?
No, we're going to be doing those. We're doing a temporary general fund, and we're going to be going over that when it comes up on number 10 and 11. We'll be discussing that.
My second question is, in any of the discussions leading up to that, was there any time that there were 2 commissioners in the room that discussed anything with, say, the sheriff, the auditor, any of them? Was there any time that they were 2 commissioners in a room at a time to discuss them?
We had meetings with several of the departments to collect information on their proposals.
No, I'm just asking, were there ever 2 commissioners in the room at the same time when you collected that information?
Yes.
Well, I think that's a violation of the Sunshine Law.
I don't believe so.
I think it is, because you have got to at least notify the public that you're going to collect the information. I don't disagree if it was Casey would do it as the budget director and brought that back to you, but I think that you violated the Sunshine Law, and I just would make that known. I would also ask, when you do have the budget hearings, would they please be posted so everybody in the community understands that?
That's
Okay, but I still think you violated it, and I did talk to Mr. Petticourt. I asked him to look into it, but I think you cannot.
I will do the same thing.
Well, I don't think you can have 2 commissioners in the room without notifying the public that they're going to be there. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Brian. And you're going to come back up again, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I don't know this.
Any old business?
Well, there's,
These 2 gentlemen, they signed on the,
That's okay. Bring it up. Oh, what, no, what, no, bring the paper up. What's,
They signed in on the sign-in sheet.
oh, did that? Yeah, a lot of people, they think that's enough to
And that's
do
what
that.
both of these guys.
Okay, is it Keith? Oh,
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Keith Kimball. I'm the president and CEO of Kimball Company, and we're a solid waste provider. I heard the testimony a few minutes ago, and I would just echo that. We're appreciative of the opportunity to compete in the solid waste business up here in Lorain County. And we've been doing that for many, many years, and we hope to be able to continue that. And if that were limited by not agreeing to a waiver, I think the citizenry up here would suffer injury with much higher pricing. And so we have a full-service company. I've got Don Johnson here with me, our representative in the area. He may like to say a few words. So thank you again for your consideration.
yeah, thank you.
Good morning. Don Johnson, LaGrange Village resident, longtime native of Lorain County. I'm very familiar with, the rubbish services that have been provided in Lorain County for the last 40 years. Prior to working with Keith Kimball, I worked with Browning Ferris Industries, more commonly known as a BFI, in Carlisle Township. So I'm familiar with the services that, Republic is providing and the competitors, our other competitors in Lorain County. And I would echo what the young lady said earlier. In 2013, I lived in the township of LaGrange, and I was paying anywhere from $28 to $35 a month for a rubbish service. And then the consortium was formed, and Rumpke came in, and they offered the services in 2013. It was $17.50 per month, a big savings to the subscription customers that are out in the township areas. But I would like for you to consider to continue with the waiver process that's in place today. And as an employee at Kimball now, we like to compete, and if that's not done, it's going to be difficult for us. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hey, Don, excuse me. Thank you for meeting with me the other day after the solid waste meeting. But a question that we didn't ask at that time, have you entered into any talks or negotiations on pricing on hauling the material to the Elyria landfill with Republic?
We have not, no.
Being as that landfill is so much closer.
Let me just interject. In the past, I have had conversations, and some of our other representatives have had conversations with Republic, and it's difficult to get a price that would allow us to compete, whereas when we use our own facility, even though it's farther away, we have a truck fleet and the ability to provide services that are completely controlled with our company, and we can provide more competitive rates that way than we can working with some third party that has a control in the market.
Well, I would ask that you at least make the opportunity to do that. They are a local employer, and all their people are local citizens, and, the landfill does affect them as well. So,
Certainly, if their rates are competitive.
To arrange where, going to the closest landfill should be the goal and objective of everybody. If we can't go to the closest landfill, we need to find out why.
But I would just ask that you consider that if we have no ability through the waiver to use our own landfill or other competitive landfills, and we only have one company to ask, and they're providing service up here with their collection vehicles, it discourages that free enterprise.
I understand that, but many counties have a flow control where they don't allow rubbish to leave the county.
Only a couple.
They happen to be near us.
All right, thank you. We appreciate your
Eric.
consideration.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Oh,
If I may add, those that are near us, they have a debt at the facilities that the county owns, and I don't, the Republic is the one that owns the landfill here in Lorain County.
Okay, thank you. I thought we had a lot more speakers in regards to radials. There's only 4, so I'll bring them up after we do. We have 2 more solid waste. And so you guys don't have to, I'd rather see you guys out on the street than in here waiting and watching our meeting. So David Urig, you want to talk about item number 18? Whoops, let me get the stopwatch.
My name is David Urig, 112 Graybark Lane, Amherst. Amherst Township trustee, member of the Lorain County Solid Waste Management District Policy Committee. And on item 18, I would urge the board to continue the waiver program for the various carriers. This allows for maximum competition and keeps the rates low. We were very reiterating what Amy Richards said, the rates prior to the consortium bidding out the solid waste were exorbitant, and we've achieved for the last 10 years substantial savings on the solid waste bills. Also, anything that doesn't go into the landfill extends the life of the landfill. So it's got a 16-year lifespan. If you bring more in, it's going to reduce that. If you reduce it, it'll extend it out. And after 16 years or so, we're going to be faced with the prospect of siting another landfill or totally not having all waste leave the county. My question is, keep the waivers. Keep the waivers. It keeps the competition, and will help to extend the life of the landfill. I mean, you got so much work there. You can do it all today, or you can extend it over time and have a job that'll be there a while. I think that's my response to that, Mr. Riddell. Yes, there is employment out there, but if you fill it up, then the landfill will close and there won't be the work there. So you can do it all today, or you can extend it over time and have a job that'll be there for a while.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Urig.
Joseph Schofstall. Item number 18.
My name is Joe Schofstall, and I'm representing Rumpke Waste and Recycling. And I would also echo everyone else's comments on agenda number 18, that I would encourage the board to continue the waiver program to ensure the maximum amount of competition in Lorain County in regard to waste and recycling, and to prevent customer disenfranchisement as it relates to pricing. So thank you.
Yeah. Wow, thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, okay, since there's only 4 people, I thought we'd have about 20. Chief McCann, want to come on up?
Bill's gonna go first.
Oh, wait a minute.
If you don't mind.
What's that?
I'm gonna go first, Commissioner.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Good morning, Chief.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you? Let me start off by, so I am Chief Basalden, the Chief of Police of Sheffield Village Police Department. I'm also the President of the Lorain County Chiefs of Police Association. The last time I was up here was June 9th, when I respectfully requested a meeting with each of you, which you did honor. So on January 25th, Commissioner Moore, we had a conversation with you. You refused to answer or talk too much because of legal counsel. Riddell, we met with you. I'm sorry, Commissioner Riddell. We met with you also on February 8th. You refused to answer too many questions based on legal counsel. The thing that I did, and I kept standard, was I am the President of Lorain County Police Chiefs Association. I had one request and one request only, that when you decided or you wanted to move forward with a radio communications system for the chiefs of police in this county and the fire, that I have a seat at the table. I deserve a seat at this table to speak about radio communications for the safety of the law enforcement officers and the fire department people that work here. More importantly, for the tax-paying citizens of Lorain County. They deserve better than that. We should have a seat at the table. Here we're having tons of discussions about the landfill. There were some questions and answers. There seems like there's work with that, but yet you don't have work with the general public and or law enforcement regarding that radio system.
We did last week.
The continued tactics that we use today, removing an item for the agenda, not to vote or partake in it, is just another tactic of you guys trying to conceal our voices. I want our voices to be heard. It is a simple request. There is no other professional other than myself and the men and women that serve this county when we need to talk about radio systems. MCM has not reached out to me. I deserve to be reached out to. I am the President's Association. I represent every police chief in this county. I also represent the sheriff. Okay? Thank you. That's all I have.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Hey, Chief, can I ask one question, one comment, though? In the interest of fairness, I couldn't answer questions I met with every group that asked for a meeting, firemen, police. I answered every technical question to the best of my ability, and to understand it, I couldn't answer questions about the pending lawsuit.
And that was my statement on both. Yes, we did.
There were a lot of things we did discuss.
However, MCM is not binding by that. They're here to choose a solution best for the county. They should have talked to us, right?
And they are here today.
Yeah, but
they were here Tuesday.
Meetings absolutely they were here. Yeah, but on Tuesday, you already had money set aside to spend $5 million or the $2.5 million to present or to complete this contract today, right? It was in that PowerPoint. Yes, there's a payment scheduled for today.
No, that was a recommendation from.
Okay, so I'm just saying. So, thank you.
And we didn't pull it off the agenda. A judge told us to take it off the agenda.
Okay, very good.
I think you guys know about that.
I leave you with this.
You folks took it off the agenda, not us.
Yeah. Okay. So, right, because you're going to vote on it today without our input.
All right.
So I leave you with this. Again, the president or the chief of police of Sheffield Village Police Department, irrelevant of what you do, I will not partake in the Marks radio system when it comes in. Sheffield Village Fire will also not be a part of that Marks system when it comes in. Thank you.
Yep. Chief, you want Jim?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning, Chief
Commissioners.
McCann.
Good morning. For those who don't know me, I'm Chief Jim McCann with Lorain PD, and I am the Vice President of the association. I want to clarify something about the agenda. It was said that the stay was you could not vote on the issue today, as I read it, unless I'm reading it wrong.
Further voting.
Further voting.
It's not a stay, technically, it's a stay. It's a stay.
Yes.
Further
voting. So it was improperly moved from the agenda. And if you wanted to remove from the agenda, it should have been done here on the floor by a motion, a second, and a vote. I believe that's how Robert's Rules of Order work.
Do you want me to?
Yeah,
the way that I read, obviously, we're all looking at this
at the same
in
time.
real time, right?
Yeah.
Further voting would mean a vote to remove it from the agenda.
But you can still discuss the item on the agenda.
Yeah, we can discuss it.
But I don't know that it can be, technically, given what you wrote, a vote to remove it from agenda is further voting on, if we're reading the Marks radio infrastructure as being equivalent to issue, whatever it is on the agenda.
Okay, well, it's...
that's
No, Jim, with everybody, Chief, with everybody coming in here, I thought we had 40 people speaking, so that's my bad, sorry.
Okay. So, I made comments on, I think it was Tuesday, and I believe that we all should have a seat at the table in the very beginning. I don't believe that the committee was set up properly. I met with Commissioner Rydell. We had a great discussion, I believed, and it was respectful on both sides. And I simply asked, on behalf of the chiefs and fire chiefs and men and women in both fire service and police service, that we take a time out. The study came out on Tuesday for us in the public sector. I'm assuming you guys maybe had a rough draft before and you could analyze it and study it. We didn't have that option. And, with the prosecutor's office saying that, we can't sign contracts that are not binding with this New World Tyler system, so we don't have time to meet as organizations with, our associations and with our city leadership to discuss this stuff. It was not unreasonable to ask for a timeout and give us 14 days to digest this stuff. That's not an unreasonable request. That's all we asked for. Did I ask for anything else besides that? Nothing besides that. 14 days, not unreasonable. We were willing to accept what came with that 14 days. If it pushed the system back 6 months, we were reasonable. We would have accepted it. It's our fault. We would have took that 6 months pushback.
Do you mind if I ask you? Because January of last year, it was like every day mattered. So you're telling me everybody would be okay?
Well, every day mattered.
With the 6 month delay? Because what we saw Tuesday night, if we didn't act on it, we'd be looking at 2025 instead of hooking up the locution system in this August. But if we don't, I'm just letting you know why what happened from Tuesday was, and we were being forced. I didn't like the idea either of going this quick.
Commissioner, the difference was in 2022, some of these folks were in the mix and did the testing and were on the committee when they chose L3 Harris system. So that's why it was a different scenario. They were allowed to participate in the decision testing process. For the MARC system, we've all been, involved in that to where we have some radios that our specialized units use, and they're non-functional. So when we were not involved in a process to select this system or to test this system or to be on the committee to talk about it and to learn more information, when that report came out, we have tons of questions about that report. We won't solve it here in your room next door right now. We all haven't had a chance to meet to dissect that report. We simply asked for a 14-day timeout so we can talk to each other, and then we can all go back and talk to our mayors and our safety service directors. That was not unreasonable. It just wasn't. And so you all forced our hands, and we had no other option but to go to court and ask for a stay. We did not want to do that. We just did not want to do that. And we felt we had no option but to do that. I've talked to all you guys all the time. You guys, for the most part, are reasonable. We weren't being unreasonable. Right now, you're being unreasonable. And I wish that we could have come to just a pathway that we could have just stopped it and had a timeout for 14 days. Our spot position may not have changed. Yours may not have changed. But at least we'd have had a chance to slow things down, and maybe we could have come to an agreement. Maybe you guys could have swayed us to Marks. Maybe we could have swayed you to L3 Harris. Who knows what would have happened? But I can tell you this. Lorain PD and Lorain Fire Department, we are not going to Marks. We're not going to Marks. We've already purchased the equipment to go to L3 Harris, and that's where we're going. And it already passed City Council. I have the contract on my desk right now for L3 Harris, and that's where we're at. So,
no.
Thank you.
Chief McKay,
Any
can I
questions?
ask you a question?
Yeah.
So, speaking about your contract to purchase the L3 Harris, who is footing the bill for the infrastructure and towers and the antennas that are go up with the lease agreements? Are the taxpayers footing the bill, or
they are not? So
private economic.
So that and I forgot to bring that up, and thanks for bringing that up. That was one of the good questions that came out of our discussion. And, we had a great discussion about an hour and a half, I think. And the commissioner brought up some great points. And I passed it on to the Chiefs Association. And I'm like, he's got some really good points that we need to talk about. But that's part of that open discussion that we should have had in the timeout phase, And so when I talked about the questions he had and points he brought up, one was the cities are going to get saved a lot of money by going to Marks because there's no infrastructure the city's got to pay for when they go to Marks, because the county is going to pay for it, and then it gets turned over to the state to maintain. Well, with the L3 Harris system, the towers are paid and maintained by CCI. There's no dime, there's no nickel, there's no pennies, or even dollar bills footed by any city that's part of the CCI L3 Harris system. And in the contract, my only bill, and there's a payment schedule for the, we'll call it a subscription fee for each radio, and it's scheduled out for 15 years. And it goes from $10 all the way to, I think, $22 after year 15, maybe. I don't have that with me, but it goes from 10 to, I think, $22 in the 15th year of the service for us.
So Chief, just to clarify, I want to back up on what you said. The Phase 1 system that's being proposed with Marks, you said the county was going to pay for it. That means the taxpayers, doesn't it?
Well, yes, the county's paying. In fact, the PowerPoint in the plan says that the county-owned system, but it's county funded, but it's turned over to the state to own. So the county doesn't own the system.
No, they don't own it, Chief.
Well, they control it.
They maintain it, like
But they control it.
Yeah.
But they control it. So the state can. I mean, look at the state controls the Bureau of Workers' Comp, even though it's a private thing. But the state controls it. They set the guidelines for it. The state runs the BMV. We all know how those two things operate with the state control. You know, and Marks is not really any better of a run system. You know, and we keep diving into this Marks system. You know, and how good it is. But the State Patrol, every single vehicle, a State Patrol vehicle, has a repeater inside the vehicle. So when they key up on a portable, it hits the vehicle first and then gets retransmitted to a tower, okay? We're not gonna have that. That's like 10 grand per vehicle. You know, our vehicles are already like $50,000 with a plain old vehicle. Then you add 12,000 just in the equipment for the lights, the computers, everything else. And then you add 10,000 for the repeater system to help push Marks from the portable to the car to the tower.
From what I understand, Chief McCann, when you say we're not going to have that, isn't it that you're not going to require that or need that because it's a Phase 2 system?
So L3 Harris is a Phase 2 system, Marks is a Phase 1 system.
Right. And then can you just review, because I know you said it very quickly, just for those that are listening out there, when you guys go with Harris and you go with the Phase 2 system, how is that paid for again? How is that infrastructure paid for?
It's paid for by CCI from Cleveland. They own and operate and pay for all the infrastructure, and we pay for the radios and the so-called lease of the radio service, which is $10 a month per radio and mobile, and then I believe it's $40 a month for a council.
Well, and I thank you for that explanation, because I think that the public does have a hard time wrapping their heads around what is the difference between Phase 1 and Phase 2, and you very well explained the expense associated with staying in the antiquated Phase 1 system.
I'm not a technical expert on Phase 1 and Phase 2, but in layman's terms, Phase 1 is when you key the mic up, the keyed up mic takes the whole entire channel away. So you can't have two people keying the mic at the same time. The first guy that keys the mic blocks the whole channel until the mic's unkeyed. On the Phase 2 system, it's divided where two people can key the mic at the same time, and it doesn't block anything.
Right, and cue the text to get them back in here. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
I brought the techies back, so.
Yeah.
I would encourage you folks that if it's inconvenient to meet today, we thought in the expediency of the TRO that we would better allocate, you're already here, they're already here, but if it doesn't work for you, at least get your calendars out and set up some time next week where MCM will be glad to come in and address your questions and some of the information that's on both sides that's not 100% accurate.
So I agree with you. And we plan on doing that, but we want to do it with us at MCM and not you and not them.
Right, that's fine.
We want MCM and us.
And that's what we suggested, so whatever
Yes.
you guys want to do, just work it out.
Yes.
That's fine.
That's why
We don't wanna play the game like the old, with the kids, where you whisper and the one
No.
next to you, and then he whispers and he whispers.
No.
What comes out the other
No.
end doesn't sound right.
No, what I would like to do is get a meeting with MCM and us, and then I would like to get everybody in the same room at one time or another and work it out.
And again, they just returned, but if we'd like to excuse the MCM people since they won't be speaking today, and have you guys not interrupt the rest of the meeting, and get your calendars out and set your meetings.
I got numbers, we're gonna get a hold of them, guys.
So well, yeah, your point, right?
What's that?
Your point. You're the point man, that you could at least get the numbers out, right? And you can set it up for
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna do that. I don't know if I'm
And-
a point
and-
man.
and it- well,
I
it's
got
just-
drug into this thing. Somehow I got drug into this thing, but
Well, I
yeah.
don't-
Chief Vassal's the president.
We're trying to respond to your expediency, but the other issue is the fire department may have a different opinion on delaying their locution for 6-7 months.
Because right now it's scheduled to be completed in July and August. But if 6 months is okay, that was our fear. Number two is if everybody came in here and walked by there, MRDD's here with some kids selling coffee today. I don't see any coffee cups out there. I was supposed to do self-promoted. Okay, good too. You got one, good. I feel bad because I'm sure everybody needs some caffeine right now. So, so Jim, can you guys go in the back room and?
Yes.
I know there's other people that want to speak to this, but
Do you think I need coffee, really?
no, you don't know.
Seriously?
It's not hot, it's just iced coffee.
Right now you're up to 33 minutes, but that's okay.
30 seconds. If I can just have 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Good morning, Commissioners. Captain Van Sant, Lorain County Sheriff's Office. You know, Dave Moore, Commissioner Moore, you mentioned January. You folks had January to talk to me about issues that you alleged were a bad contract gone bad, and you failed to do that. Not only did you fail to do that, you spent in excess of what a portion of the prosecutor's salary is to hire outside legal counsel to continue to block that, and you did so again this morning.
Yep, we did. I think Chief Weatherby. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Chief Weatherby.
Chief Weatherby, Mike Weatherby, 202 Kelly Street, Wellington, Ohio. I'm here on behalf of Wellington Fire District and my 13,000 taxpayers. And I'm also here on behalf of a majority of the county fire chiefs. There's not much that I haven't already said up here. I've tried to make, reason of what's been going on. Just to touch on a couple points that Chief McCann had. He talked about BDAs. There's the 88 targeted buildings. $750,000 allotted. That's $750,000 allotted for BDAs. Basically, what that is it's saying, yes, the system is going to need this. Where we were told before, the L3 Harris system would not need that. That's added cost to our taxpayers. Okay. They're buying the system and handing it over to the state. They bought my radios, which I saved $150,000 on, and I now have skin in the game, Commissioner Moore. They just passed a 911 levy, and there was a mention earlier this week about, well, we could probably use some 911 funds to help build this system. I don't think that was part of the language in the ballot. And then who's going to buy the BDAs? How many of those 88 buildings are in my jurisdiction? I don't know. Nobody told me. Those are the types of things we'd like to sit down and discuss with MCM. Clear things up for us, and it's like Chief McCann said, we're probably going to give a little, we're going to take a little, and at the end of the day, everybody is hopefully on the same page.
Can I ask you about the 6-month delay? Was that acceptable? Instead of July or August this year is what they were shooting for, right? I mean, you guys are telling us.
You've delayed it a year already. What's another 6 months?
Well, it would have been straight on time as what the original deal was. We were trying to stay on the original contract.
We kept our timetable, and we were trying to keep it.
Yeah.
You would have never had to put a timetable had you just done the right thing. The Northeast is already on the L3 Harris system, and it's operating flawlessly, okay? The Northwest just submitted their intention They've got their equipment, everything is ready to go. They sent their notice, their intention to go to the system. The Southwest, we're still acquiring equipment down there, okay? And it's our intention to move to the L3 Harris. So again, I think it needs to be repeated that nobody wants to go to the Marks system. Nobody wants to use Marks. Nobody wants to be handcuffed by a bunch of state rules and regulations. And let's face it, we're going to be an afterthought. Once Marks gets in here, we're going to be an afterthought. If we need technical support, it's going to be an afterthought, okay? We're going to be waiting for it. Really, last thing I've got to say, you know, so far this year, you have done everything that a year ago you criticized. When you rescinded the contract, you breached the contract, you rescinded the vote. You've done everything that you have accused the other administration of doing, okay, in our eyes. But you've done it at double the cost, okay? At the end of the day, at double the cost. Why are you rushing the vote? Why was it so important that you couldn't give us that little bit of time that we asked for, okay? Even this morning, the judge, Kobasher, sat there and asked, would it do any good to contact the commissioners and before we make a ruling here? No, I think it's pretty much a done deal. All you had to do was work with us a little bit. A couple other notes on Marks. Marks is a Phase 1 radio system with no expansion capability. No plans to upgrade it to a Type 2 system. It's cost prohibitive. The state of Ohio would only build sites that benefit the state of Ohio and not specifically Lorain County or the Northeast. Mobile repeaters would be required. Every OSP vehicle has one. Marks interoperability would only be with other Marks users. And it was suggested that we carry separate radios to overcome other interoperability concerns until everybody can get on the Marks system. Those are the words coming from Marks, okay, direct from Marks. So I think the time was needed, and I think a good review of this is justified. So, thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Yep.
Thank you, Chief.
Did Adam Shaw, did you want to come up? Adam? And you're going to come up with the public comment section too? I take it?
Good morning. Adam Shaw, President of the Lorain County Deputy Association. A few things I was questioning and looking at. This new Marks system was looking at $14 million, but when you guys came in, $7 million was too much money. We couldn't spend it. It wasn't smart. It was bad business, bad contracts, but it's double the money. Where's the bad business there? The original study took years to be done. MCM did it in a couple months. How good of a study can it be then? There's been zero transparency. You guys supposedly got the study a couple days ago, and then nope, we're voting on it 3 days later. How do you even have time to look at it? Have you ever seen a Marks radio, anybody? Or have you used a Marks radio? Do you know they don't work in buildings? Because we know that. Commissioner Rydell, you said that you met with everybody who wanted to meet with you. You ain't met with me.
You didn't ask?
You gotta be. I have asked you multiple times to meet with me via text message, phone call, and in open meetings.
For a ride along, and I didn't think the ride along was appropriate.
Well, no, you told me to contact John Gall and he would schedule it, and that's not my job. Regardless, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to argue with you, okay? It doesn't matter.
I'll give you a meeting you didn't ask for.
I did ask for you, and I'll find it and I'll send it to you. Don't worry about it, okay?
This is juvenile.
You're right. This whole thing is. You are absolutely right. It's the first smart thing you said all day. So here's the issue, okay? What is your guys' obsession with Marks? I asked Mr. Armbruster, I asked you two. What is the obsession? If you've never seen Marks, you know nothing about it, and you come in and here it is. You have police chiefs and fire chiefs telling you they're not going to use it. So you're going to spend $14 million so far in a system nobody's going to use. For what benefit? Whose agenda are you pushing? Whose pockets are you lining? Because it doesn't make any sense to it. And nobody here, right? If it looks like a duck, it smells like a duck, what is it? There you go. Okay? I don't think you guys realize the issues you are going to cause for this county by doing something like this. They're asking to sit at the table. I'm asking to sit at the table. Sit with us. Talk to us. It doesn't work. You know, Mr. Armbruster at the Township Association meeting a couple months ago, you talked about New World and how great it is and how good it is and everything. You know it doesn't work. You know, none of our GPSs work. There's a deputy sitting back there right now that got in a fight in the city of Lorain. For 7 minutes, we didn't know where he was. We couldn't find him because New World doesn't work. The update didn't work. And you're going to tell us Marks is going to work? It doesn't work. It's never worked. So now the catch-all is Marks. New World doesn't work, Marks doesn't work. When are you guys going to work for us and the taxpayers and listen to us and the experts back here?
Okay,
Ever?
thanks, Adam.
Adam?
Yes, sir.
One correction. The contract we rescinded was for radio. This contract is for the infrastructure. They're apples and oranges. You can't, they work together. And so.
The contract you rescinded was for everything.
Yeah.
Radios were included.
No, you didn't have a price for the infrastructure.
Listen, you can keep lying, you can keep blowing smoke. We all know what it is here, okay?
No, the contract was
Work
pretty
for
clear.
us, not for yourself. Work for us and the taxpayers, not your own pockets. Do your job. Represent the people who are here. Because I can guarantee you, you too won't be here in a couple years.
Thank you, Adam.
Mr. President?
A second. Did you guys have anything to add? I mean, you're here and, thank you. That's the last one. But before you speak, Commissioner Hung wanted to say
Well,
something.
Commissioner Riddell said that the contract we rescinded didn't include infrastructure, so he opened the door to reviewing Resolution 22-909 passed on December 21st, 2022, and it's been reported over and over again in the media as a $6.7 or $7.7 million project with Cleveland Communications. I am not going into the 15-minute dissertation that I did the past two times with the radios, but there's a reminder that needs to be made about those resolutions. Resolution 22-909 states that $7.7 million includes $3.7 million for the Sheriff's Office, 911, and EMA. $1.9 million for the Sheriff, $1.4 million for 911, and $342,000 for EMA. 911 included upgrades to the symphony consoles, locution integration, meshing with our 5-city 700, 800 megahertz system, among other related items to the 911 center. We were not building an infrastructure. Cleveland Communications had already done that. Now, the remaining $4 million was for subgrants for political subdivisions to apply to help them to purchase radios if their political subdivisions needed help. That didn't mean all of the money was going to be spent. It was grants that were sitting there waiting to be applied for. So you've got $3.7 million and you've got $4 million. It's two separate things. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh.
So certainly we'd be glad to meet with the police and the fire
Would you
chiefs.
identify yourself?
Oh, sorry, Michael McGrady. I'm the principal and chairman of the board of MCM Consulting Group. And we'd certainly be glad to meet with the chiefs and the fire chiefs, EMS chiefs, whoever is available. But in regards to the actual system, this is a portable-based system. So yes, Ohio Marks is a mobile-based system, but you can augment that. And that's what happens. So in this system, you have the 6 additional towers. You have 6 towers from Marks, and then you'll have 4 additional towers that will be either leased or built, from Lorain County to augment that, so that you have portable radio coverage. So when a deputy or an officer or a paramedic or a fireman, they'll be able to have portable-based coverage. In regards to the BDAs that were mentioned, the BDAs are there's 88 buildings. high schools, buildings like this, hospitals, et cetera, that we said you have to guarantee above grade coverage because these are very high profile, incident buildings. And so as part of the proposal, there is a allocation for BDAs so that we can make sure that we give the public safety responder the coverage that they need. If there are additional buildings and that 750 is used, then Motorola will have to pick up the tab to pay for any additional buildings that need covered. So that BDA allowance is only in there to ensure that those buildings and other buildings get the coverage that they need. It might not be needed, and that is fine. But if it is needed, we want to make sure that when a fireman or a policeman or paramedic went into that building, that they had the coverage that is needed. So this is Ohio Marks, but it's being augmented to get the additional portable radio coverage that police, fire, and EMS want when they're in the field. So, but we can discuss that with them. We had the meeting. We'll go over that and answer any questions that they have. But I just wanted to clarify those items for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Mr. McGrady, I sent you an email and a public record request
Oh.
months ago.
Please.
You gave it to the commissioners who you were consulted for, so I don't know what team you're on.
So
You know what team you're on.
So actually, we gave that to our attorney who advised us not to respond. So thank you.
So don't respond to us, that's it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Number C?
No.
What? Oh, what?
They want to
No,
have
no.
a debate in here,
Go
and
ahead.
we have business to do.
Oh, is there any old business?
There's no old business.
Under D, number 9, approve and waive the reading of the county commissioners meetings of November 17th and December 1st of 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Now, the agenda, we're gonna change it up a bit to item number 27 and item number 28. I don't know, Jacob Smith, did he have to leave, the other
No,
gentleman?
he's here.
Okay, but the other gentleman,
So you
oh,
want to read
okay,
it?
good. Okay, go ahead.
Under Veterans, number 27, approve a $50,000 from Lorain County Honor Fund for Lorain County Gold Star Family Memorial and Monument in Elyria. This project is being proposed to build in downtown Elyria, and Woody Williams Foundation would support this project with its technical expertise.
Okay.
Can I
So
say
moved.
something?
So moved.
Before the police leave, I want to say something real quick. It has nothing to do with what you guys have been
Second.
talking
Somebody
about.
second it?
But before you leave, I wanted to say a lot of police and fire are veterans. And at the Veteran Service Commission, we need to see more police and fire come talk to us because there's service-connected disability and different benefits that you guys can be eligible for if a lot of your people are veterans, and I know for a fact they are. So if you could get in contact with me, because we want to make sure that you guys are getting all the benefits you get, especially the younger guys, because in a job like police, fire, paramedic, they get older, and then the VA says, we don't know that the injury was because of being a police, fire, paramedic, and not because of the military. So please, 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 I beg you, contact us. I know we've worked with, is Chief McCann still? Yeah. And we've worked with Chief McCann, 13 Bravo, right? He and I share an MOS, and then he went Coast Guard, so we don't talk about that. That's the first laugh of the whole meeting. So anyway, I just wanted to say, please contact us. Oh, okay, I got you. Sorry, I wanted them to know that before they left.
You can't
I
win with
apologize.
Jim, so.
Good morning.
Good
Make
morning.
sure you stop off and get some coffee, gentlemen, okay?
Or treats.
And treats, so. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, how are you? And
I'm having a good
apologies.
morning. How about you?
Well, I got everyone to laugh.
There you go.
So, it's a good start.
Yeah.
My name is Jacob Smith. You all know me. I am the director of the Lorain County Veterans Service Commission. We have my board. Where's Joe? Joe is our newly elected president.
Congrats.
Of the Lorain County Veterans Service Commission. So I first wanted to say thanks to Joe for coming. He's representing the board here. He has asked me to talk on their behalf. As you know, last year, the commission approved the creation of an honor fund. Over the course of this past year, you have approved $243,000, something like that. And today we are asking for the remaining amount to be given, $50 to the Gold Star Memorial and $17,055 to American Legion Post 30. Before we get into Post 30, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Gold Star Memorial we're working on. I have the majority of the board members here, going from my left to, well, me. Is that Andrew? Andrew Lippian, Ryan Murphy, Jim Hordinsky, David Root, myself. We have a couple more. Our Gold Star, Kimberly Hazelgrove. She really wanted to be here, but she had a meeting in Cleveland, so she wasn't able to attend. And then Jeff Bear as well. So we are asking for $50,000 for you to approve for the building of the Lorain County Gold Star Family Memorial that will be built out behind the courthouse here in Elyria. We're asking if you have any questions or you would like to talk to any of the board members. We got 2 former state commanders of the VFW here that keeps me in line. So,
And this is
you
money.
try. You try.
This is money coming out of the honor fund, correct?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay. Where else? And also, we got some money that came from the
Visitors Bureau.
The Visitors Bureau, because that somehow we don't get that type of crowd participation when we have our Visitors Bureau meetings.
Yeah.
But I believe you and Mr. Lippian did a good job at presenting that, and we actually found an account that was dormant for 8 years. And in the Visitors Bureau that was supposed to be designed and used for monuments, and that, which was a great opportunity, and that was $100,000 to get you started, because I believe you've already ordered the marble. Why don't you explain that process?
Yeah.
'Cause that's amazing how this works. You know?
Yes, Commissioner. So the dedication date, the goal for all of us will be September 29th, 2024, which is Gold Star Family Day. The plan is to have the dedication there. Thanks to the Visitors Bureau and their initial donation of $100,000, we were able to not only put the down payment down, but actually pay for the entire ordering of the granite, which is going to be delivered to the company that inscribes it. They're going to cut it up, they're going to inscribe it, and they're going to ship it, and they're going to place it. After talking to Woody Williams, they feel very confident, so long as we keep this pace up, that we will be able to dedicate the memorial on September 29th. In addition to that, Kimberly Hazelgrove, David Root, and Jim Hordinsky was part of this and last time we tried before COVID, and they got a jump start with an architect, and we are working with him. He's going to get some new drawings, new plans. We have to make a couple additional changes. One, because the Space Force, so we have to add the Space Force's logo to the little branch of service plaques that will surround it as well. That's kind of where we're at right now. We're fairly confident. I will also say that last night, Columbia Station, VFW, donated $1,500 to this. Cool. American Legion Post 12 has also agreed to donate $10,000 to this. American Legion Post 30, they have asked me to come talk to them about this. They're very excited about it. And so we're real excited about where we're at. We'll be the 13th, I think, in the state. So.
Very good.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully 13 is a lucky number for you.
I was a 13 Bravo, so it's always lucky.
13 Bravo. Oh, that's why.
Well, Jacob, as executive chairman, you and I have had these conversations. The work you have done has just been incredible, working with us, working with the board, working with your board. I can't say enough good things about the work you've done, and us getting to the honor fund and getting that developed and worked out and getting that passed, and you expending all of the money. And if you want to talk a little bit about your budget and some of the things you worked on this year, and I know you and I talked about returning money to the budget, but of course we want to see you to the general fund. We want to see you get all of that money out there, but there's only one of you.
Yeah.
So if you want to give us a little tidbit on that.
So, because our bills are all submitted for the year, but we haven't got them all cut yet, so I can't give you final numbers, but I imagine we'll be just under $1 million when we return to the general fund. Of course, we're hoping at least $300,000 of that goes into the honor fund for next year. And last year we got the numbers for 2022. Keep in mind we're the 9th largest in population for veterans and also the 9th largest county in the state of Ohio by population. My Veterans Service Commission in 2022 put out more financial assistance for veterans than 86 counties. We were third most in the state for financially assisting veterans.
Congratulations.
And the thing is, though, by the statute, we have to give you a certain amount of money.
Yes.
Every year. But the beauty of it is, every year since I've been here, you've increased because that was the goal. Get that money out to those that need it.
And I will tell you, since I've come in, our 2-1 number, and our 2-1 number means the ODVS puts out what I call the 2-1 number. And they go by county and say how much federal dollars are coming into the county to the amount of money that the county spends on operating the Veterans Service Commission. Since I've come on board, we've actually increased that number by $15 to 1. It was, I think, like $58, and now it's just over $72. So we're seeing a continuous increase in what we're doing, and we're getting the VA every day to better compensate Lorain County veterans. And that is why I took the opportunity before the police left, because that's sort of an untapped resource. A lot of veterans are in police, fire, and everything else, and we want to see them get the benefits they deserve, and we can help them do that. And that goes with anybody. And if anyone's listening here or around the world, please go see your Veteran Service Commission and get the benefits you deserve. I have seen veterans come in and say, well, I'm broke, and we help them financially, and then they find out that they're due service-connected disability, and it changes their life in a very permanent way. We've also reduced the amount we spend on transportation of veterans to outside sources. This year, we got 1 month of contract payments to transport veterans down below $4,000 a month. And remember, when I came on board, that was $21,000 a month, and we're actually transporting more veterans, and we've hired more veterans to do that. So it's really an amazing thing we're doing. And I have to, and I'm going to embarrass him because I do it every chance I can. He's looking down, trying not to do. You're trying to work. Dan Petticord in the prosecutor's office. If I said hand in glove, I mean they have been our partner. He has kept me on track. He has given me advice. I could have not asked for a better individual to assist me in developing programs legally than Mr. Dan Petticord and the prosecutor's office. So I thank you, sir.
You still owe me lunch.
I know.
Jacob, that explains the advice we're getting, because by the time he gets to us, he's all out of good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
By the way, 3 years ago, he had a completely brown beard. Then he met me.
Okay. Well, I know I won a bet today with Dan.
So do you want to talk about? Do you want to vote on that, or do you want to talk about?
May we? Do you mind?
Well, no. Do you want to talk about post 30 or?
What? Yeah, we will, but on the second one.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So we're gonna. Is it okay?
Yeah, is there anything further?
I'll make sure the judge allows us to vote on this issue. I had to do that. I was waiting to do that all day. So
this is a vote on the $50,000.
yeah, the $50,000 one.
Gold
Okay.
Star.
Gold Star.
I said metal.
I know. Is there any further discussion?
Nope.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Number 28.
Number 28, approve a $17,055 from Lorain County Honor Fund for American Legion Post 30, Lorain, to replace their existing sign out front of their building to an LED digital sign, fencing replacement addition due to disrepair, and flooring updates in the lobby, canteen, stairwell, and executive office.
Hey, Jacob, welcome back.
Thank you. It's been a while.
Yep.
Oh,
so moved.
Second.
Okay.
There we go.
Discussions.
So
Jacob.
I'm going to talk just for a second, and then I'm going to introduce Jeremiah Garza. American Legion Post 30, a few years ago, I said was in the casket and ready to be delivered to the graveyard. It was dead in the water. And this young man, Army veteran, said, you know what? I see potential here. And he became the commander, and he got an unbelievable group of people together with him to say we can tackle this project. And he has taken a post that was basically almost dead and written off, and made it one of the most active posts in Lorain County. him and his post have donated tens and tens of thousands of dollars to better Lorain County through their charities and their fundraising. And when we see an opportunity in an individual and a group of people that are working that hard every single day, this is the only thing Jeremiah does. This is his full-time job, is to kind of do this post. This is what he does. I want to say that about him because it sounds better if someone else says it than you brag about yourself. So I want him to come up and talk a little bit about what they're doing, and I also want him to explain to you why they're giving away tens of thousands of dollars and not using that for their building. So, Jeremiah.
Thank you guys all in
Jeremiah.
advance for your consideration on this matter. Thank you guys also for establishing that honor fund. I also want to state, before I get into my stuff, how appreciative we are of Jacob over at the Veterans Service Commission and the Veterans Service Commissioners. It is a pleasure to work with people as much zest as us at Post 30 for doing good for veterans. So we appreciate them and you guys. Like Jacob said, my name is Jeremiah Garza. I'm commander of American Legion Post 30. American Legion Post 30 has been in Lorain since 1919, serving Lorain and the local community. Yes, as Jacob said, we have turned things around over the past few years. But more importantly, we're just kind of hitting our stride and getting things going, do as much as we can for veterans in our local community. Just this past Monday, a couple weeks before that, we collected a wish list from all the veterans at Anchor Lodge. We shopped for them, and we delivered these gifts on Monday evening to all veterans at Anchor Lodge in our community. Just yesterday, I believe it was, the financial folks over at the county VSO delivered gifts to families in dire need. So these are families, veteran families and their children that are working with the Veterans Service Commissioners to get financial support. We talked with them and say, hey, last year, how can we help veterans more? What do you guys have for us that we can assist? Last year, we donated $4,000 to support these families in dire need so that despite their dire situations, they could still have a nice Christmas. This year, we asked them again, hey, we would love to do what we did last year. This year, we gave $7,200 so that these veteran families in dire need could have somewhat of a great Christmas. Just a handful of other things. Since November of 2023, we've given $28,900 to other local charities. Now, this money that we're giving away, you may wonder, why is it that we're not using that for things like the post improvements that we're asking money for? And that's because these are restricted charitable funds that we have to use for charitable purposes. Due to our operations at our post, these funds that we earned, we have to spend on other charities. And because we are doing well at our post and we have lots of veterans and their families using our post as that nice, social, safe environment, things are going well for us. So we are able to give to lots of great causes in the community. Some other things we've done: $5,000 to Garfield Elementary Parent Resource Room, $5,500 to Lorain Cops and Kids, $1,000 to Operation Care Package. So we're doing all we can for our local community and our local veterans. And again, I appreciate you guys' consideration in the matter.
Oh, thank you for what you're doing. I appreciate it. Jacob speaks very highly of you. So.
Thank you.
One other thing, and the only person I haven't embarrassed is my deputy director, Larry Amato. Larry and I, once again, hand in glove. We have so much going on. We're looking at possibly doing guitars for veterans. We're looking at, and once again, Dan Petticord helped us put together a legal program that helps veterans get their wills. If you're a veteran and you have a question, please come see me. I look at things and say, why not, instead of why. So, thank you.
I like you. Any
and
other questions?
Dan has to bless it.
Oh. Anybody? Okay. Well, go ahead.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Hey, thank you guys for coming in, and
Thank you.
appreciate the work you do.
Don't forget to get some coffee next door.
Yeah.
Hey,
That didn't matter.
Jacob, will you write all their names down and send it to me?
Yeah, I'll email it to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Number 26.
And
Number 26?
Mr. Petticord.
Okay. Under the sheriff, number 26, approve and enter an agreement for professional services between the County of Lorain, Ohio, and DLZ Architects, Inc., Columbus, to perform architectural services for a project known as new construction of a Lorain County Correctional Facility and Sheriff's Office in Elyria, Ohio, and will be paid from the professional services account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, I see Karen has come to the podium with a presentation in regards to all the work you guys have done this year, so have at it, Karen.
Good morning, Commissioners. So today we've come to the board with a recommendation for a selection for an architect who will assist us and the sheriff in designing and hopefully building a new Lorain County Correctional Facility and Sheriff's Office. So what I've got is some slides that's going to run us through what it takes in order to get a recommendation in front of the board. So, of course, we've got a project team, which included Captain Jack Hammond, Andrew Lobenthal, the project specialist for the sheriff, Norm Hills from Hills Corrections Consulting, Mr. Armbruster, and myself. As you all recall, we had 2 needs assessments done on the correctional facility. The project team reviewed both of those needs assessments and then went on out and did a couple of tours of some local newly built jails or in the process of being built. The Warren County Jail, which opened in the fall of 21, had 499 beds. Very, very efficiently run facility. The Franklin County Jail had over 2,000 beds. That jail was being built in phases. There were parts of the jail that were being used, but we were able to tour a portion of the jail that was not being used. You get you get a new perspective when you're actually in these new facilities, how things function, what type of needs there are, including recreational and medical facilities. So we then prepared a request for qualification statements, and that request for qualification statements included the needs assessments from both firms, CGL and Hills. The qualification statements were sent out June 21st, and responses were received on July 24th. We received 3 responses, K2M Architects, DLC Architecture, and Civil and Environmental Consultants. The evaluation criteria that the team used to evaluate each individual proposal received consisted of the firm's experience on building jails, specifically county jails, reviewing of references, and evaluating the quality of design and cost estimating, meeting schedules and deadlines, that's a big one, and controlling cost, adhering to budget, and their ability to communicate well with the public, the board, and the project team. Also, we wanted to make sure that they had sufficient staff available, so we had them include in their qualification statements an organizational chart, which included the names and resumes of all the team members from the architect's side that would be chosen to work on our project. One of the things I've learned over the years is sometimes they have a limited number of personnel available, and you're only one of 50 buildings that they're working on. So we wanted to make sure that we had dedicated staff just for our project. The project methodology, which basically has to do with whether we're going to bid a project the traditional way, which is design, bid, build, use construction manager at risk. So each qualification statement gave us information on how their firm would bid our project or recommend our project be bid. After we reviewed the qualification statements, all of our team members had a qualification evaluation form that we filled out individually, met as a group, had a discussion, and we shortlisted those 3 firms down to 2. And the 2 shortlisted firms was DLZ Architecture and K2M Architects. Those 2 firms came into the county administration building, met with the team, and went through a pretty intense interview process whereby we asked a lot of questions. Got down to the nitty gritty on what jewels have you built, what can you do for us. Both firms interviewed very well, and even after we went through the evaluation process, the scoring was very close. And I think it was a unanimous decision from all the project team members to select DLZ as our #1 ranked architectural firm. So from that point, we are then going into contract negotiations. And in order for us to negotiate a contract, we would need to confirm a scope of work. So what you're seeing here is what the project team presented to the architect as far as our expected scope of work. So we're looking at approximately 450 rated beds with a hard construction budget of approximately $85 million. And that's construction cost. The total project cost budget is approximately $100 million. The project delivery method that we selected is the traditional design bid build. And the final point that we need to specify exactly where the site is going to be. So we've got a substantial amount of county property located in and around the jail. So we just need to make that final site selection. The architect then submitted his response to our request for a cost proposal. The cost proposal consists of basic services, which you'll see on the screen. There's quite a few things here. Project management, electrical engineering, technology, fire alarm, all these individual specialties are something that's required in order for us to put a building together. So this architectural firm is a one-stop shop. We can count on them to provide all these consultants in-house for us, which was a big decision, a part of our decision-making on selecting this particular firm. Additional services that they will be providing, if we choose, consist of staff analysis, and this is probably one of the most important things that we will need to do while we're designing a jail, is to make sure that we do a staff analysis. I talked to Andy Lobenthal yesterday, and if I didn't say something, he'd probably scold me later about how important it is that we take into account what their staff needs are, the seniority of our staff, the amount of vacation time the corrections officers have so that we can properly staff a facility. Operations planning, furniture and fixtures is also another big ticket item for us, and they provided us with a quote for full-time on-site construction observation. So our next steps here, the cost for architectural services. We decided to recommend to the board today that instead of entering into a contract for full architectural services, that we request that we just do the phases that we would need to get our project to the point where we could present to the board and the public what specifically we're asking for. So what we're presenting today is that we approve building programming for $67,150 and schematic design for $1,410,150 for a total of $1,477,300. So I'll run through what these things are. Building program. So the programming of the building is going to be able to provide us with an understanding of the space, quantity of space, and space that we need for our jail or the sheriff's office. I keep forgetting that the sheriff's office is a part of this project. It's not just the jail. I don't want to leave the sheriff's office standing where it's at right now. It doesn't make a lot of sense. You'll get conceptual design. Site identification will be finalized, and we'll be able to secure our site services. And then after schematic design, we'll have drawings and site plans, preliminary building plans, sketches, renderings, digital representations, and we'll know what our major building systems will be and a type of construction materials we'll use, and we'll have renderings in order to present to the board and the public. So come spring of 2024, this is exactly what our plan is. If the commissioners should decide today to move forward with our recommendation, we would be coming back to the board in spring of 2024 with our schematic design documents in order to show you and the public, and then we can have a more in-depth conversation about our funding sources and how we can move the project forward. So that concludes my presentation, unless you have any questions.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Karen and the team, I think you guys have really, you've kept us informed, you've kept the public informed, you've really come up with a practical plan for starting this and wrapping your head around the financials of this so it can be presented to the public for their consideration.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Karen, also, as part of that process, could you explain how the next two phases, if we fund those, how that's going to be managed by staff? Who's going to sit on that committee?
Oh, who's going to sit on the committee when we get into the design phase?
Okay.
So a committee will be created, of course, the architect, and we'll have on-site owner's representation. We're going to have a jail administrator present. We're going to include the kitchen folks. We're going to include the medical folks. So every piece and part of a jail facility, and there's a lot of them. I mean, I learned so much just on my little tours. So we want to make sure that we're asking the right people the right questions during the design process. So we're not just building a jail blindly, just thinking we got to put bodies in cells. We're thinking about the people who have to work there. The staff is going to be included in the process. They won't be in every meeting, but when the discussions come up, say for the kitchen facility, how we're going to get deliveries in and out, what type of needs they're going to need, those folks will be included in the process.
Okay, thanks. I've been pushing because the original price was a lot higher because it was like end of the contract price. And I said, no, what we need to do is we have to have the schematics, the designs, so the public can see what we're building, what the size is going to be. And then we have that debate. Hopefully we'll get it, April, May?
Yes.
Have those public, then we will have public hearings. I believe, Dan, if we decided how to fund it using sales tax, don't you have to have 3 public meetings?
There has to be 3 meetings.
Right.
I don't off the top of my head know what the schedule has to be, but there has
Yeah,
to be 3.
and there's several ways in which we can fund this through using some of the excess cash, using either levy or a sunset sales tax, in which, or we could bond it out. And until we get the schematics, till we know what we're looking at, till we know exactly what's going to cost, it's kind of difficult to go to the public. And I'm hoping that for November of this year, the public will be able to participate and say, yes, this is how we would like to pay for it.
That's the plan, Commissioner. Yeah. So I think Eric is here from DLZ.
Okay.
He can speak to the schedule probably better than I can. He has estimated, I believe it's 16 weeks for us to get through the building programming and the schematic design. So we'll be back in May of 2024 with the information I believe the board will need in order to guide us on how we are going to move into the future.
Right. Yeah, and the bottom line is that I think the public should be aware of how we compensate or how we build it is if we do a sales tax, it will have a sunset.
Right.
In which it will only be a short term in order to fund that. Or, again, we may have to bond it out. So there'll be several options in which we'll present to the public and how we're going to move forward. So.
Okay.
Eric, I don't know if he wants to speak or you have anything to say.
Would you like to speak, Mr.
He drove in, so.
Yeah.
One thing, and thank you very much, Eric Ratz from DLZ. One thing I would like to also mention, you did a great job presenting that. But one additional thing that is important when we go through this process, because it is a requirement, we will also be working with ODRC, Bureau of Adult Detention, as we go through their planning and approval process. They have a 5-step process, and the first step is the programming, the schematic design. We will be meeting with them to make sure that we're following and meeting all of the Ohio jail standards. It's a necessary step. It's good to include them because obviously they inspect your jail facilities, and we want to make sure we do everything correctly.
And I know there was a question brought up to you in regards to what you thought about the county's process to moving forward, and you were very complimentary to our staff.
Yeah,
So
I
if
would.
you'd
I
like to
would say-
repeat that.
Yeah, it's been very professional. It was been very organized. I will say that Karen was correct. It was a tough interview, a lot of questions asked, but I thought it was a good dialogue that we had.
Okay.
Yep.
President?
Yep.
This is your one chance, Eric, to give yourself an embarrassingly unabashed commercial for your credentials.
All right,
So that the world knows
Sure.
you picked the right guy.
So back in 1987, when I started in this crazy world, my very first project was a detention correctional project. It was actually for the Indiana Department of Correction. It was for the Reception Diagnostic Center, where any inmate that is sentenced to a state facility, they would go through their orientation, their programming, classification before they went. I saw Mike Tyson delivered to that facility, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it. But over the course of time, I've had a very long, great career. DLZ, we are recognized nationally as the #1 correctional design firm in the Midwest, typically in the top 5 or 6 in the country. And I've just been very fortunate to have worked with a lot of counties here in Ohio, but also in other states, of going through, quite honestly, some of these difficult situations of designing a new facility, but also we have to look at facilities today are designed very differently than they were 30 years ago, 40 years ago. If you look at, just real quickly, President Reagan, war on drugs, the 1990s, mental institutions were closed down across the country, as well as in the early 2000s with Purdue Pharma and the whole Oxycontin issues. So we're looking at very different inmates that we have in facilities today, and working with the sheriff's office and the jail, we will come up with what is the right solution, the right size, the right fit, that obviously also meets what your budgets are here in the county. So it's a good process to go through, and for those that are able to be a part of it, I think that we're all going to learn something. We all learn something on every project, but we will be doing the right thing for your county.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further?
Any more discussion? Yeah, you go bathroom. Okay, hurry up.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
We're going to take a 3.5 minute break. Get coffee if you want some.
You forgot to give us the cards.
Okay, thanks. Camera's back on.
Okay.
Where's Teresa at?
She went, I think she went in the room to get a treat. I just saw her going that way when I was coming back in. Did you get your ice?
Nah, I'm okay.
Is she gonna get it?
You need your ice? Okay, you know what?
He
All
didn't
you
want
guys,
to ask for it.
get me my ice, okay?
Yeah.
That's 3 women have told me, and 3 women told me, so, no, I got it, I'm so good. Yeah,
You're hydrated, aren't you, Dave?
Does Jeff need a water? I'll pee as soon as we start. I haven't gone yet. You know I'm gonna go soon. I'm a smile.
How much longer do you think it's gonna be?
Well, right now, the next problem we're gonna have is the waivers. Well, 3 of us are gonna have a nice.
Given.
What number is it, you know?
Yeah, but he didn't want to speak. We let everybody speak again and have a, see if they can help do this.
No. Is there gonna be any questions on 28?
I don't think there was any questions.
You have any questions on 28?
I don't think there was. It was the MOU with Children's Services.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen.
I don't think there was any.
Where did Lee go? Okay. There's
Hey,
already.
Dan, take a look, you're live, so you might wanna.
Lee, there's already.
Oh, just this one.
This one?
Oh. That actually was like a 3.5 minute break.
They ran out of all the cups.
Oh, they did?
All these
They
cups.
could.
Oh.
The girl that's doing it, she's like, I'm so tired. We all ran out. And then there's another kid sitting around the couch because he's like, I don't have anything else to do either, you know. So they're so cute over there, but they're still making, and they got limited desserts left. But yeah,
So it was successful.
So
It
that,
was
yeah,
successful.
that's the main
All I
thing.
know is I walked by and I smelled some cinnamon goodness coming out of there.
I got a hot chocolate cookie. This thing is this big.
Hot chocolate cookie.
And then I got a blondie that's about that big too. Yeah, I mean they're in my office, but this was really good.
Well, I think if anything's left, as commissioner, should help the kids out on our way out, right?
Thank you, Amy.
That's right.
Well, he wouldn't take it from me, and I'm like, I'm gonna get him.
We were not. I got one of those.
I know.
rabbits.
And I texted him to see.
Hey, you gotta be sitting here this long.
Well, and not bad. Yes, well, I fell on it 2 days ago, so today.
Oh
I-
Jesus!
Oh, it was-
We need a bubble wrap your
I
leg.
know, we're all falling apart.
tape.
We need to know what
I
Commissioner
heard you were in
McCarthy.
yesterday.
Well, they had.
Yeah, they go yesterday?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I
done.
texted you. Is it done? Good?
It's done, yeah. I wish it on nobody.
I wish this on.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to do solid waste?
Yeah,
So
we'll see.
they can go back?
Because once they're done, nobody will be there.
Right, because that's their whole meeting. I mean, that's their whole department. They're
I
sitting.
know, and they're, yeah, we haven't even started on.
I think so.
Did you give them the VOCA thing? Did you give them the VOCA grant?
You're bringing, I sent it to them, but you're bringing it up, right?
I should, do they know about it?
Yeah, the VOCA resolution, he forgot to give to me, so we need to vote on that.
Hey, Blevins, you might as well get up there, get ready.
Okay. Like 23,000.
I don't know if you,
We do it annually, but.
yeah.
I screwed up and didn't get Teresa a VOCA grant and try to get on the agenda. You have, but
So
she
we
had
move to
the
make an addition to the agenda,
resolution.
is that what
I'll
you're
bring
saying?
it up.
Well, he was just gonna bring it up under his.
Our victims advocates.
Okay.
It's a $20,000 cash grant,
I'll just go see Dan.
right? $20,000, something like that. State it.
Yeah, somewhere around here, yeah.
And welcome back.
Okay, so where am I going?
Number 17, I believe we're going to table that, correct? Mr. Blevins?
Can I come to the?
Well, I told you before.
Yes.
Do you want me to read this
I'm
first?
fine with that, Commissioner. In order to table 17, I will have to amend number 18.
Well, we have to discuss number 18. That's why I feel like we got a kind of the cart before the horse here.
Okay, I'm fine with tabling 17.
Well, we're not going to, I'll tell you what, why don't we just start at number 18 and go from there? How's that, Teresa?
So you don't want to do 17 first?
Now, let's wait. What, do you mind if we wait in 17?
Wait to table it or wait to
No,
discuss it?
we're not going to table nothing. Go ahead. We're going to start at number 18. There's a reason, there is a reason for our madness here today, so.
But I don't, just 1 second, I think we have to do number 17 before we do 18.
Hold on, let me.
Because it's a 1 year.
Right,
we're
if
extending
we're going to change 17, I will have to change the duration of the waiver. from the beginning of 2024 to the end of 2024, rather than a multiple year, which was 17.
And currently, right now, there's 3 commissioners up here who would like to have a public debate in regards to waivers.
Okay.
So what would be the appropriate, since you're the director, how would you like this, all 3 of us to start debating? You want to start at number 17?
Yes.
Okay. Then go ahead, start it out.
Under solid waste, number 17, approve the term change of 1 year on waivers from designation pursuant to a standard form of waiver agreement for 2 years with possible 2-year extension. This allows flow control of municipal solid waste, MSW, to level a solid waste fee for all MSW haulers operating in Lorain County in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 34.01 I2 and 343.014.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, I feel that the majority of this board is not, we have some issues in regards to the years involved in this one, I believe. Okay, so let's have a discussion between the 3 of us.
My concern, Dave, is that landfill management trying to do something for 5 years with the way regulations change and the environment changes, the households changes, the recycling changes. You know, I think that to have prudent management to make sure that the solid waste district is on solid financial footing as well as economical service to the constituents. I think we need to stay with the annual review and make sure that we're doing the right thing and that we can rapidly adjust to some kind of a fluid situation that might occur. So at this juncture, I don't see the need, unless you have something to share with us, to go from 1 year to potentially 5 years.
I'm fine with the 1 year. I will pull that.
Well, you're not pulling anything, you're just basically.
Okay. It was more of a housekeeping, it made it a little easier rather than going through it every year. But I'm fine with doing it
Does
in
a pay
annual.
cut come with making your job easier?
Pardon me? Does what?
Do you get a pay cut because we're making it easy on you? So.
I hope not.
Director Blevins, I understand your proposal, and I understand what Commissioner Riddell is saying, and if Commissioner Riddell is wanting to make an amendment to that, to keep it currently as it is at 1 year, I could second that.
Is that the process?
No.
It would be, I guess my question is, I haven't seen them, I don't have the waivers themselves in front of me, but are the waivers written for multiple years, or how are the waivers written?
But I think what Commissioner Riddell is saying, he wants to keep it how it is.
He
How
does.
it's always been.
But the waivers were presented to the board already, correct?
Correct.
Director Blevins, so I'd have to see what the waivers actually say, because I believe the waivers were multi-year waivers, correct?
They're 2 years.
The waivers that were before you are for 2 years. I can quickly work on getting a 1 year waiver to the haulers
Right.
and tell them that I need them back very rapidly.
Right, and so I think the answer, Commissioner Hung, is probably to vote the amendment and then authorize the execution of waivers in accordance with the amended motion. That way we can get them done as rapidly as possible, right? Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense, yes.
We're gonna discuss the waivers in general. I think it's good housekeeping to figure out, not change it after we do that. So let's make sure what we're discussing before we discuss it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mr. Packard, you just confused me just a little bit. I thought we were always at every year, once a year on the waivers.
That was 2.
They're
We
yearly.
just did this
What?
in
We
They're
did,
annual.
but I think the waivers
Okay.
that he's presenting to the board today are drafted as multi-year waivers. The drafts themselves.
Right.
That I've signed off on and that the haulers have signed off on are for multiple years. So what I'm trying to take the next step and say, we're only gonna do 1 year and authorize the execution of waivers for a 1 year period, because the board is not coming back after today.
Right.
Because we're keeping it the same.
Because we're
correct?
keeping it the same.
We
correct.
will revert back to the way we were doing it
Right.
in years before.
You guys are scaring me. If we can't figure out what the past was, how are we gonna
Well,
predict the future?
We've got
he
it.
and I think he and I know what we're talking about, but
Yeah.
I assume we gotta get this done before year end, right?
Yes.
They go
Yeah,
back to
so-
this will be allotted.
Yeah.
Yes,
You understand, Teresa, we're-
yes.
I explained it.
So we're going to maintain you're going to take the agreement for 2 years and make the 2 a 1? And we're going to make with a possible 1 year extension? Is that what we are?
That's how we've done it in the past, yes.
Okay, so that is the past right there.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. President,
Okay.
I think the clerk has a question for the prosecutor?
Well, okay, so realistically, then we don't have to do 17 at all, because we're not changing the form of the term of the agreement. We just have to go to 18
Amend
and change
18.
that, amend that to go back to 1 year as it originally was.
Correct.
But we have a motion and a second, so we'll just vote no,
With-
because we're changing.
Just withdraw it and not even act on it.
I withdraw.
Well, it was
No
a
one-
motion by
I
Commissioner
withdraw
Moore and
my
second by
motion.
Commissioner Hung.
Oh,
Withdraw?
yeah.
Okay.
I like that. I like
Does that make sense?
Does that make
correct,
sense?
Assistant Prosecutor Petticourt?
Correct. And
Okay.
then
Dave?
So then we'll go
That's
to
great.
18.
We withdraw the motion, but do we need to strike this from the record? 17?
No.
We can't table it, it does, it
No.
he can withdraw a second and he'll die.
Oh, basically, nothing's going to say.
It's just gonna be
Yeah.
there.
I would accept the motion to withdraw the second. The motion dies for lack of a second. We move to 18.
Yes.
It would be my suggestion that it would be appropriate at this point, based on the prior discussion of the board when discussing number 17, that a motion be made to amend item agenda number 18 to state effective January 1, 2024 through December 31, 2025, rather than as written, December 31st, 2026. And I would further amend 18 to state that the county administrator is authorized to execute said waivers when approved as to form by the office of the prosecutor.
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Of course she does.
Good with that?
That's great.
Good?
Okay.
Somebody's gotta make the motion.
Somebody's gotta move it. And then discuss it. President?
What was the dates on the motion? January 1st?
January 1st of 2024 through December 31st of 2025.
Not 26?
No,
Okay.
That's the amendment.
because that would have been what we would have done on 17.
So moved.
I will second that, but I was gonna say,
Discussion.
don't go anywhere, I have a question for you.
Okay.
The amendment from Assistant County Prosecutor included giving some authority to the county administrator as the director of solid waste. Are you comfortable with that authority, Director Blevins?
I don't think he's getting any more authority than he had before. This waiver is being granted by the commissioners.
Okay.
And only by the commissioners, not by the director, not by the
So make
administrator.
sure everybody's comfortable.
But
Okay.
I believe the waivers require to be executed by the board, correct?
Correct.
What I'm saying is because this board is not gonna meet again during the calendar year, the board can devolve signature authority when I approve the waiver to Mr. Armbruster, because he'll.
That would be fine.
Get the approval will happen right now, then Armbruster will just mechanically execute. We've done this before.
And that will be before the end of the year,
Correct.
before the end of the calendar year.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you're not giving this to him in perpetuity, you're giving this to him until the end of the calendar year with your amendment?
Correct, for
Thank you.
this set of waivers.
Okay,
Correct. Thank you.
clarified.
Is there any further discussion on number 18? Commissioner?
I'd like to-
Actually, yeah.
I'd like.
He said first.
You know, we've had quite a bit of commentary from the public on this, and you know, if we're voting for this, we are approving the waivers for 3 years, a
No.
3-year waiver?
No, just two.
No, we're approving it 1 year.
1 year?
From January 1st of 2024 through December 31st of 2025.
That's 2 years.
Oh, I'm
That-
sorry. 2 years, yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, and I would like to see, we had commentary today from some of the haulers, and they admitted that they had not contacted Republic to get pricing. They just made the decision that it was cheaper to haul to their own landfill. And it appears that most of these companies have two hats. They have a landfill hat and they have a trucking hat. And somehow hauling trash, you know, an hour and a half away from where it's collected instead of 30 minutes collected. I'm very uncomfortable knowing the cost of trucking. I'm very uncomfortable for how you could haul it for 90 minutes cheaper than you could haul it for 30 minutes. And if there is something wrong with the fee structure at the Elyria facility, or that it's, you know. Horrible. Well, I believe that Republic, they, you know, deserves, they're Lorain County employees, it's a Lorain County facility, we need the landfill, and I think that we should drive the companies together to discuss that issue, because the whole purpose of waivers is to allow somebody to haul something closer in order to save money. If you go back and look at the language of when the whole idea of waivers, you know, The state law says, take it to the closest landfill, but the commissioners may waive that for another reason, you know, whether it be specialty rubbish or whatever. And there seems to be a wide variety of contracts. So everybody likes to compare dollars to dollars, but I'm not sure we're comparing apples to apples.
Why did they bid?
So at the end of the, I don't know why.
That's okay, that's okay.
I don't know why, but I believe that there's a reason here for a lot more conversation. I think that we deserve to do the right way for everybody.
Right. I've got a meeting on the books with Dan Given from Republic and Chase Reitnauer, the general manager, Mr. Armbruster, their consultant, and one of my consultants for the 19th of December. Everybody stays healthy, that will happen. And I will also, in the new year, facilitate, hopefully, I can get Mr. Kimball and Andrew from Rumpke and Republic together, and we can talk about ways that we can, more efficiently move the trash around the state.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Mr. President,
But we need time to do that. If we grant the waivers prior to your meeting, we render your meeting moot.
No, I don't think so. I think the waivers are one thing, and a more efficient way to deal with trash in the state or in the district is something that we should be working on all the time. We talked about something that I haven't got a ruling from the EPA yet, which was the swapping of tonnage. If they're picking up closer to one of somebody else's landfills, can we do that? I don't know. I haven't spoke with Mr. Kimball or Republic or anybody. So the waivers are something. This would be the 11th year of the waivers, and I'm all for trying to help out a local company and the environment at the same time. I don't want it to die here. I want everything to just continue forward.
And I don't want to change it, but I want to make sure we're doing the right thing, and I want to make sure that there's enough incentive for the people to get together and work together. So I would rather see a 30-day or 45-day to the end of January and let us come back and have a meeting, continue the waiver for this period of time so that no one is harmed. But if we're going to continue it, we need to find out what's going on here.
The county purchasing department has put out a bid for the consortium, and that bid is to be awarded January 5th of 2024, so we're 3 weeks away from that date. And I'm not sure if legally we can even pull out at this point. I don't know. We'll have to defer to the council.
If that's a legal matter, I would imagine that the bidders would entertain an extension if they don't, and if we have to find out that we've got something in our bid process that's restraining the bid, then I think that we may want to repackage and rebid.
yeah, I just, Mr. President, I think not signing the waivers today it's going to affect our contracts with the communities in the consortium, and I know the public is hearing the word of consortium. What that is, Amherst Township, City of Avon Lake, Rochester Township, Rochester Village, Pittsfield Township, Penfield Township, Huntington Township, Elyria Township, Eaton Township, Brighton Township, Grafton Township, and Carlisle Township. Just so everybody understands, this affects them. This affects their rate. So not signing them today affects those contracts, current contracts with the community. So I think there is a bit of an urgency, and I would not support a delay today.
I could ask.
I'm getting a lot of, I see Kimball, and I don't know if, Dan, and I don't know if you guys, what do you think, Dave? Do you want to?
If I would have Mr. Kimball come to the mic. And
Mr. Givens hasn't spoken yet
and Mr.
today.
Given as well, I'm sorry.
Can I do that just briefly?
That's what the mic is there for.
Thank you very much. I wonder if I could shed just a little bit of light on the subject.
Microphone's
Microphone's the other one, yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you. Just to shed a little bit of light on the current situation, the waiver, being on a year-by-year basis, is a little tenuous for us to continue to do business and compete, and competition has been verified by many individuals here that when there's only one landfill, competition goes the wrong direction. And so our company has a transfer station just below Grafton Road. You can almost throw a stone into Lorain County. We employ Lorain County employees who drive collection vehicles. We pay taxes because we're the current provider of waste hauling in Avon. Avon Lake, I tend to get them mixed up. And Don can tell you. But anyway, for us to be left waiting on the 1 year is terrible. For us to only have 1 year at a time puts us in a tenuous position where our assets, may not be able to continue to be used, and for us to be able to provide the service, that we're currently providing, and we hope to continue with the municipality and others on a private subscription basis, as we come across the line. So it's not like, we only have one landfill. Republic Waste has hundreds. We're a much smaller company, but we provide competition that you otherwise might not have here. And so I think it's worth considering that moving forward with the waiver gives both the municipality and us some assuredness, and then I would recommend that additional consideration being given to multi-year waivers, and it wouldn't create an issue for the county, I do not believe. So, thank you.
President?
Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Kibble?
Yes,
I come from a world where, a handful to several dozen multi-year commitments are made, and usually what I do is go to the vendor and negotiate with a multi-year pricing, either if the price is gonna go up or it's gonna stay the same, but I match my purchase orders to my vendors, to my quote to my customers. And I would suggest that you could, that since everybody's in this business and everybody knows the business, if you want to bid a 3 or 4 year contract, I think that it's conceivable you could sit down and negotiate a 3 or 4 year deal with the local landfill. I can't say you can come to an agreement, but I think.
But please understand, this isn't our first day here in trying to negotiate. We've been working up here in the western Cuyahoga market for 35 years, 40 years. We've tried many times to negotiate, but when you have no leverage, you being in business would certainly appreciate. When you have no leverage, because you're obligated to use their facility, they're not obligated to give you a good price. By not issuing this waiver, you put us in that position, and that you can't expect that to be successful. And again, you of all people being in the supply business would certainly understand that. We know about concrete. We know about all those kinds of things too. So,
For disclosure, his brother Eric was a valued vendor of our company.
yeah. So again, I thank you for additional consideration. I'm open to any questions you might have if what I've said doesn't make sense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming up. Mr. Givens, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dan Given, I'm with Republic Waste. I would request that, as you consider this, that you keep it on a 1 year waiver basis. When you look at your solid waste plan is pretty clear about, the goal is for the absolute best use of that facility. And it's, it calls it out by law with regards to what your obligations are and what they aren't. With regards to Republic's position, with regards to sitting down with other people, we're open for that. Our corporate offices have reached out to our competitors numerous times to have those discussions. The one thing that you're not considering or you're not hearing is they keep looking at it and saying, well, we're looking at Lorain County, but we'd be looking at Northeast Ohio. And our competitors have landfills in Northeast Ohio that we could also utilize, and we're willing to sit down and talk to them about, the ability to offset each other's costs while we're in each other's markets, because we are. So I would ask that you hold the matter in abeyance, allow us to have the conversation, which is what we already have scheduled. I asked initially for more discussion and more time with regards to these waivers. I found out about this meeting less than 24 hours before. So overall, holding this matter, in abeyance for a little while until we have the discussions, of which Mr. Blevins or yourselves could be involved, we would definitely appreciate it. And I think in the long term, it would be very beneficial to your residents with regards to how to structure the appropriate bid to lower the pricing. If you compare the pricing that was provided to you through the consortium and compare it to the bids that have taken place with, I'll just say, alternate terms You'll see that the city of Lorain is paying less. City of Bay Village just had their bid opening yesterday. Their pricing is less than your consortium. So I think it would behoove you to hold the matter in abeyance. The waivers that are in place or that should be in place are good till March, I believe, and allow a more business-like approach to the market overall. I guarantee you that you'll see a movement with regards to pricing for your citizens.
Do you know why they didn't bid?
Why Republic didn't bid?
Yeah.
We expressed our opinion with regards to, and I gave them to Mr. Armbruster with regards to our concerns with the bid as it sat. There were a number of problems which I thought drove your pricing way up, and we chose not to. It's a business plan to look at it. You had to bid everything, and yet when you looked at the bid itself, it was not guaranteeing anything. The bid said you had to bid it. Each individual community could decide if they wanted to or they didn't. There was no guarantee that that we were going to get all the work in those communities. It just, it wasn't a good move when you're looking at the value and the dollar of the assets. I mean, could we inflate our pricing to cover the risk? Yeah, we could, but we choose not to do that.
So what you're saying is it's not each and every community, but each and every resident would be able to choose. Is that what I'm hearing? No, again, no. So you're dealing with each and every community in the consortium, right?
And how many are there
How many?
in the consortium?
12? Okay.
So you can bid, what you're saying is you can get one.
You're putting a price out there, and you could, you're assuming you're going to get it, but you may get 1, you may get 6, you may get 0. So what are you actually bidding on?
Okay, so it's one of those that you're afraid that if you only got 1, then it'd be cost prohibitive out of the 12?
Yeah, it just,
okay. I was trying
cost prohibitive. Plus, the other thing is they wanted one price for 5 years, every single month.
Okay.
I mean, number one, from my position, as well as, competitor's position, when you're pricing like that, you're guessing and you're adding cost in. What if this happens? Okay? You're much better off to look at it over the course of time, do it for a 2-year or 3-year, and then have options out there or have price increases that go through the course of time. It just, the way that it was bid was far different than anything that we've ever seen.
I get it. I mean, you can't go out, just the last 3 years with gasoline prices alone, I'm sure.
Right, and the price of inflation as well.
Yeah.
Inflation's going up. You assume that it's going to be 8%, but we've seen that it also came back down.
Yeah.
So.
And I think too, Mr. President, the reason the consortium exists is for stability, price stability.
Mm-hmm.
And for years, the township's rural areas.
That's.
Hang on now.
Amy gets a little excited, so.
We'd be willing to have a seat at the table and have that discussion. Everybody has their opinion, but unless you get people around the table, you're not going to have a,
Mr. President,
valid
I think
discussion.
What we need to do, the three of us, is with David's guidance, is figure out how to handle this to allow the process to complete. So if you say, are the waivers are good till March 31st? The ones that already exist?
I believe so.
No.
No?
End of the year, right?
Yeah.
Well, they're the end of the year.
Yeah. And the bid process went out, and January 5th is when they have to pick which, or multiple haulers, I guess, or.
Well, you can talk to your law firm about that, but with my experience of the city of Lorain, you can state that you're going to award something on a certain date. It's not written by law that you have to award by that date.
Right.
But I think it's disingenuous.
We don't do any of the bidding. We have done nothing basically for them really at all. That's
okay.
all Baker House.
I think it's just disingenuous
I would say,
to.
If you give me a second, please. I would say I'm a little bit clenchy about saying, yeah, we said we're going to do it by the 5th, but we're just going to assume it's okay not to. I don't know that I like that answer, but my office was not involved in those, in drafting the bids or drafting the waivers.
Mr. President, we've mentioned up here several times on other issues of when we get phone calls and when we get emails. And while you are our steadfast representative at the township meetings all the time, I've got a lot of emails and a lot of phone calls in the past couple of weeks, and I want to thank those representatives from the townships for reaching out, the trustees and the fiscal officers for reaching out. I think we need to, I know that I am, speaking for myself, going to show my support for the stability and to keep the resolution, and hopefully we can get a vote here today as amended by Dan.
Okay, thanks, Dan. David?
All right, so the county purchasing department did handle this bid. It was written by the consortium's attorney at Baker Hostetler, but it was given to Jessica Burns at the county purchasing department to go out to bid.
I don't do any of the numbers.
Okay,
I just don't, I didn't, my office was not involved. in
Understood.
running
I just
the
want
bid.
everybody to know that it was the county purchasing department that put it out to bid. But I would urge the board to vote
But
today.
it was written by the customer.
Correct. No.
It was written by the legal counsel for the consortium.
Yes, the consortium's lawyer, correct.
Consortium, yes.
The purchasing department was purely the vehicle to get them, because the purchasing department is used to running these bids. They received the bid, they put the bid out, or, as presented to them. They ran the bid opening and presented the numbers. So as the purchasing department was the vehicle to get the bid out to the public and run.
GT Environmental, who represented the solid waste district for many, many years, also has their.
Right, they represent the consortium. So there's a consultant that used to work for the county district. They represent the consortium. This is something where I'm a pass-through. Any of their bills that get paid is basically we hold their money. I have no authority there. It's a whole nother animal. So it's not by the district. It is sponsored by the consortium, and that they handle all that. I'm a pass-through for financing and meeting minutes and things like that. So I would urge the board to vote today to pass the waivers for 1 year as written. And based on my experience in government, it's going to be at least a year before we can get this straightened out. So I don't want to upset the apple cart and not move forward with what we've done for the last decade, when I know it's going to take at least a year for us to handle all the takers. We have to get everybody at the table and start talking about it.
I mean, I think, sorry,
Mhm.
go ahead. It was
No,
your term, Mr.
go
President. Well, it's just the stability of it for the folks that are involved that are in the consortium, and we've got this done. This is wrapped up for January 5th. It's done. I don't want to see any legal ramifications happening if we now pull back and
Right, I agree.
not follow through on what we've done.
Go ahead.
I would also put out there, in the interest of getting the best solution for all the parties concerned, okay, and everybody has a dog in the hunt.
Right.
We have a meeting scheduled for next week. We need to do something supposedly by the 5th of January. I'd like to see to it that we structure this thing so that we get the parties to the table next week, and if we need to come back for a special meeting, we'll come back for a special meeting. There's a solution to this, but I think you're unfairly restricting our citizen if you don't drive everybody to the table to talk. And if you say 1 year, I'm concerned that those talks will occur next November and we'll be back here again in December.
No, that's not, I don't want to push it off another year. I'd like to resolve this as soon as possible.
Well, I think the
But
way to resolve it is to put
the meeting on the
table
9th
right now.
Right, the meeting on the 19th is just with Republic. In order to get everybody to the table, I have to invite Rumpke, I have to invite Kimball, I have to invite Easy Waste, I have to invite Pete and Pete. I mean, there are a lot more than just our neighbor here. There are other local companies that, Legacy was purchased by Rumpke, but I would like Keith to come in and talk to us, So I think we're best to move with the waivers.
Okay.
And deal with this over the year. It's not something that we can resolve in the next week. I'm not even sure. I mean, I know that Mr. Given is available and Chase to the meeting, but I'm not sure if I could get Mr. Kimball or Mr. Rumpke there.
Can I just add that there's a possibility, a likely one, that when you're trying to encourage landfill operators to work together to come up with pricing, that you're treading on issues with the Justice Department, and they may be ruled illegal. Price fixing, those allegations, the general public would probably have that concern. And I think if that were the case, I think we would probably just, I hate to say it this way, but we would probably just accept our losses and walk away. Because it seems like a community who is hard pressed to pick a favorite. And it's very hard to do business that way. And so as a single sole proprietor, or not sole proprietor, but a family business, we detest that type of environment. So we've done a good job here, others have as well. We have a good reputation, we can compete, one landfill, 600-700 employees, we can compete, not when the cards are stacked against us with a big Goliath like Republic. Thank you.
When did the bids go out?
The bids have been out, I want to say the bids went out in May.
No, it was after that, because they just turned back in November.
So the bids went out in May and came in November?
No.
Yeah, May, June.
It went out in October.
Oh,
October? Okay.
We've been working on it for a year, at least the consortium had been working on it for a year.
Okay.
And Dave can speak to it, he's a member of the consortium.
Okay. Did
you want to give us some information?
I don't know, Dave wanted to speak.
The only thing I'd like
Come on to
I mean, you've been involved in
From the
solid
township's
waste for a long time.
perspective, you know, we're in the middle of a bid, and that's not a small thing. We've got a lawyer. We spent a lot on a lawyer. We spent a lot of time, a lot of effort to get the bids together, get the bid proposals together, and we're almost done with it. And now, to have someone like pull the carpet out from under everything, not too happy. I can't say I'm happy. I can't do a happy dance for you, and I won't.
I don't want to see that.
This is going to be what I would call an LDE. LDE is a long duration event. It's going to take some time. It's going to take time to get people together. It's going to take time to negotiate. You know, yeah, there's a point. Yeah, you got to put the pressure on. I can understand that. But it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen tomorrow night. And sometimes you do a rush job, you get a rush result. Maybe that's not what you want. In general, yeah, I think you got to keep the waiver fees, keep them from another year. And if this is going to become an issue, we're going to have to work on it. We're going to have to solve it. But the time of year and what I've got to do, I got a day job and I got to go to that. All right. I got to represent the townships, and I'll do it. But you want a happy camper to come up here when I got to jury rig my schedule around. I got to let stuff drop. I got things that I got to get done, but I can't do it because I got another umpteenth meeting to go to. I'm not going to be happy. All right, I got things I got to get done, and representative of the township, we're all part-timers. Okay. Now, people are going to pull this pressure game, and around Christmas, I got this to do, that to do. We want to get this done, that done. And now we're going to have to be running around, if not going to meetings, chasing around everybody, find out what they're doing next, so that something doesn't happen that screws us over later down the line. Using this confusion and everything. I mean, it doesn't put me in a good mood. Doesn't put me in a good mood. Now, yes, okay, approve the waivers, approve them for a year, but still, next year we're going to have to do it again. You know, we got a 5-year contract. We got to deal with. But I'm just not happy for it coming up right now, in the middle of a contract. But in all due respect, like Dave said, we need some stability. We got a 5-year contract. We need 5 years of stability in that contract. Or, you know, you commit to a situation, you need the situation to be somewhat static, not in a constant state of flux. How can you react to that?
Okay.
But I just want to say, you know, keep the waivers. We're in the middle of a bid. A lot of effort's been put into that. And if this is something that's I'm not going to be a happy camper.
Right.
I'm just
Well,
not gonna
Dave,
be a
I just
happy
want to say, since I've been in solid waste meetings all year, and even when I was here 20 years ago, you were involved, and I know your part-time efforts has been tremendous.
You know, I
in
don't
your
want to make
expertise.
excuses for myself.
No, you've been a great volunteer.
And it's not any easier.
I know it isn't, but I appreciate your volunteerism. I appreciate your work and your education and what you know. So I respect what you say. But thank you for coming in today.
I do hope you guys keep the waivers, and if it's something you want to talk about over time,
Yep.
it's going to take some time to do.
Okay.
Keep pressure on you,
Thank
but
you.
it's going to take some time to do.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay, Dave.
And thanks again to all the townships and fiscal
Yeah.
officers that reached out.
I did speak, I'd like the record to reflect that the bid went out on October 23rd. We had been working on it throughout the year, so my
And
apologies.
you had 3 bidders, right, Dave?
Correct. And then Easy Waste, including Easy Waste, Rumpke and Kimball.
Mr. President. It would be remiss to not tell you that our team, Dave Greenspan, myself, and the entire solid waste, these group over here, had many, many discussions with regards to waivers to try to work out, see how we can bring more trash into Republic. We look forward to that December 19th meeting. I understand where Commissioner Riddell's coming from, but I would be, as an administrator, very uncomfortable trying to coordinate and discuss price fixing, as I call it, in the gasoline industry, that could create some issues. So our objective would be to figure out how we can be competitive with maybe not divulging just exactly all of your science as to how you get there. And we've had some very lively discussions internally, and we hopefully will have some very lively and a good discussion on December 19th, and then from then maybe go to Kimball and by themselves and Rumpke and the other processes who, you know, maybe have landfills to see if we can work something out rather than trying to get everybody together and competitively. They got to be somewhat real. So I understand what I'd like to do. I'd like to do that with the gasoline price, but I can't. So
Okay, well, we're all talking concrete, gasoline. Let's talk garbage, okay?
Garbage.
About 2.5 years ago, you came to us, and I know you were upset when we reduced some of the fees for Republic. Right? How much was that a year that we?
That was for an out-of-state, out-of-district fee, which
Yeah.
is basically anything that comes from outside of Lorain County. It was 60 cents. We eliminated a third of it, so we now collect 40 cents. And then 10 years ago, and that was to make them more competitive in the market.
Correct.
Great. We want to help out a local company. We did so. You know, a decade ago or longer, they came and said we would like to reduce the tier fee from $4 to $2. They did. You know, that saved them $2 million. You know, we continue to show that we're willing to work with Republic and do the right thing by a locally owned company. But I'm trying to keep the competitive edge, you know, which is based on everybody's discussions today, they've been very happy with. So I'm trying to keep everybody happy, including the commissioners, the taxpayers,
It's
and the
almost
EPAs.
impossible to do all of us.
Yeah, it is, and that's that. You take your wins and losses,
Yeah.
but it's been a successful program for 10 years. I would really like to see Republic at 1.3 million tons a year. We're currently bringing in 9 plus or minus. I would love to see them maxed out. That means I get more money and I can provide some
You mean the
additional
solid
funds.
waste district gets more money?
Right, yeah, not
Okay.
me. That's not happening.
Okay.
Just the funds to the district, and that, you
Correct.
know, I had to eliminate a lot of funds last year in the budget because I had to put forth a 10-year budget to the Ohio EPA for our plan, and it has to be balanced. So we had some tough discussions, you know, with you, with the commissioner, or with the administrator, and we
the
did it, and
communities.
100% of the communities ratified that. Even though we cut their money, every community voted to ratify that. So I was proud of that, and proud of them to know that we were trying to do the right thing as far as money.
Yep.
We're also paying fees.
I know. I'm just.
Correct, yes. And
Don't forget, we're also paying fees.
I told you I'm at the P.
Right. The consortium represented about 15% of the trash that would have been picked up in Lorain County,
Okay.
plus or minus.
So number
16 years as
number
reported.
18, we're going to approve the amendment to number 18 to stay from 1/1 of 24 to 12/31 of 25. I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion from the board? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Riddell?
No.
Okay, let's start at the beginning of the
Let's
agenda.
go to 19. I'll finish
well,
solid
we gotta
waste
do
up.
number we- oh.
Yeah, we'll finish them up while you're here.
18 is approved as amended then, Dan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know if we had to do it twice.
I forgot it was so long ago.
Number,
Make sure.
Number 19, donate unneeded, obsolete, or unfit property in accordance with the ORC 307.12D from the Lorain County Solid Waste Management District, a 1995 High Point manufactured small metal box trailer to Lorain County Public Health District. This will assist with their newly established litter cleanup program, utilizing individuals assigned to community service by various participating municipal court systems in Lorain County.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, we discussed this in the last solid waste policy meeting, correct, Dave?
Right,
You
the
want to add
commissioner had
anything?
made, health commissioner had discussed it, and it was something that he could use, something that I wasn't currently using. I had 4 trailers and was more than happy to help out the health commission.
Okay.
Anything else from the board? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Riddell?
All right.
Okay.
Do you want a break, Steve?
No, we're good.
Okay, so this one, where would you like me to go now?
Water.
Do you want to go back to 10? Or you want me?
Oh, I didn't even have 10 highlighted.
So you got a whole bunch of them there, yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to go to 10 or you want me to go?
12.
Number 12. Number 12, amend Resolution 23-151 adopted February 21st, 2023, authorizing Lorain County Administrator to execute certain necessary documents on behalf of Lorain County Board of Commissioners that may occur between the Commissioners' biweekly meetings. Amendments to reflect the increase in the threshold from $50,000 to $75,000 in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Okay, I think I need another 3.5 minute break because number 10 and number 11 is going to be some long discussions in regards to the budget. So we're going to take a 3.5 minute break, please. Amy, you want to cool my ice pack down? You ready for showtime?
I know, but I'm like,
My cold hasn't kicked, it's,
It sounds like it kicked in.
so who knows what you're gonna get.
Oh, yeah, well.
The normal day.
All I know is we don't want to get it, so keep
That's-
your
yeah,
cooties
keep-
over there, Mr. Casey.
okay, so I guess we're gonna go to number 10.
Okay, and we're back. Welcome back to Lorain County Commissioners Part 3. Okay, we're going to go on to item number 10.
Approve the 2024 special revenue annual appropriation.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
Okay, how many, I can't, we had Casey, you kind of down this document because it was about 8 or 10 pages, I can't remember, but you got down to what, 5?
Well, the special revenue is 8 pages. Like I said, it was just some formatting, got rid of some blank spaces.
Okay.
Try to condense things a little bit, yeah.
Okay, now we're made a motion to approve this for the whole year. And what I'd like you to do is to go over each and every page. And
What?
What's that? Oh, your microphone's off, so. The production manager just came out. Okay, Casey, go ahead. It's your show.
What's that?
Explain the special revenue funds, and we're gonna go to each page here.
Sure. I'll kind of speak in generalities.
Thank you.
The special revenue budget, the permanent appropriations that are in front of you guys to consider passing today. These are all the, I guess to oversimplify things, non-general fund budgets. So these are all we consider them the special revenue. So levies, essentially the revenue sources are outside of the general fund. So these cover, children's services, the Mars Board, Job and Family, again, levy funds, pretty much across the board. So these, number 10 is specifically regarding the special revenue budgets outside of the general fund.
Okay. And on the jail operation, is that the actual budget that you're projecting? Or that the sheriff is, or?
That's the sheriff's.
Or the
budget
auditor?
for the jail.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, is that the sales tax? The
So
jail?
This is, no,
Or is it all of them?
This is on the expense side of things. So this is, these are the sheriff, so specifically with the jail, that's the sheriff's projected expenditure budget for the jail for 2024.
Okay, and that's supposed to come out of their special revenue fund,
So,
correct?
yes, and
Okay.
correct, which is supported in part by the sales tax, in
And
part
the
by the general fund.
General fund, yeah. Okay. Can you go to page 2, please? And that's the same here. Solid Waste District, this is what they receive, or this is their expenses, correct?
Correct, yep.
Okay. Now, I know like on workforce development, that money comes in from the state, but that's a wash because we use general fund pretty much to advance.
Correct. So
And
the
we
general
rec-
fund pays the personnel cost, pays those upfront, and then is reimbursed by the 2,300 fund. So, yes, there's a net zero effect on the general fund, but this is for specifically this workforce development is. Correct. Those dollars that they receive pay for the programs and also reimbursing the general fund for the personnel cost.
Stay alive.
You got a lot more pages to come.
As Dave Greenspan moves over, just
I gave him the option. I told him I'd sit on the outside.
Okay, can you go to page 3, please? I know Casey sent this all out to all of us here to review it. Any questions on page 3? I believe like at the bottom, Veterans Court, that goes through Judge Walther, right?
Yeah, Judge Walther is at the
I think that's his.
common plea. It is run through.
Right.
Yeah, one of the courts.
Now, the Bascal Bridge, is that, I think we get reimbursed all that too, do we not?
That's correct.
That's another one, just like the last workforce.
Correct. We're fully 100% reimbursed for all the expenses at the
Right.
Basco Bridge.
Page 4. On the LEPC, is that, I thought we advanced the money out of the general fund for them, or did we not? from ARPA funds?
Well, yes, on a one-off basis. That's not a regular form of revenue for them, but
Right.
yes, out of ARPA funds, I believe there was a 3-year
Commitment.
a grant that covers, 3 years
Okay.
for LEPC, correct? And they're, again, linked with the Emergency Management Agency.
Law library, I find interesting because it just does, you would think, wouldn't they one of these days update it so that we can, so we don't have to maintain books, because it seems like they're getting away from that.
Lawyers are stodgy, but yeah, we don't have books in my office anymore.
Yeah.
And as you know, we have, funding of the law library is complicated,
Mhm.
as we found out with the lawsuit with Lorain, so.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, it always drives me nuts all year when we start spending that kind of money for books that I don't think anyone opens them, so.
We don't get books in our library anymore.
Oh, we
in my
don't?
office.
Oh, in your office?
We don't have
Okay.
books at all, yeah.
This is for downstairs on the first floor? Yeah. Now, there's a lot more money for court security, correct? We're not spending just $10,000. Right?
Yes, I would assume so. They're probably coming from other
revenues?
other
Okay.
budgets. Yes.
Now, is that estimated on the concealed handgun license?
Correct. So that's a budget, again, placed forward by the sheriff and his team.
Okay.
This is their projected.
That's fair
expense
with the
budget.
recent law changes. I didn't know if that's going to continue, so. Okay, page 5. Any questions? Page 6. Personnel services, crime lab. Justice 911 agency. On the 911 agency, is that all the revenue they're getting from, does that include the new levy?
So again, these are purely expenses.
Just
on,
their
on the
expenses?
sides. Yeah,
Okay.
correct. Yeah.
You know, it's driving me nuts. It says revenue funds. That's why I keep
The
going back
special-
to.
I know, yeah, it's-
Yeah. That's why I keep jumping on it, so. Well, these are the ones we're going to pass for the year, correct?
Correct.
Okay, page 7. Any questions on that? Seems like the hotel motel lodging tax, well, that's just the expenses, correct?
Again, just expenses.
Yeah, that seems a little well off. Okay, is that it, or is there a page 8?
There's a couple left on page 8. Yeah.
Okay. And the highway planning and construction, that's all through the engineers?
Correct, and I believe that's more for capital projects.
Yeah.
And whatnot. Yeah.
Okay, any questions regarding pages 1 through 8? Seeing none?
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Number 11, approve the 2024 temporary general fund budget.
Okay, Victor. Okay, what we're doing today is we're voting on just the first quarter for the county for the budget. Now, Casey, let's go over the actual total before we go to the first quarter. What was the actual? Was it 84 million or 86 million? Because in August it was 84, I believe.
83 million is the current requested
So
budget.
that's-
When you lump up all the requested
Right.
general fund budgets, correct?
And at first it was wasn't it 67 or 73?
Yeah, it
For
was-
in August when they said, I think it was 73.
Yeah, the
wasn't it?
initial, so back in July, we
74 million, I
were
think.
required by code to pass a tax budget. And at that time, I believe the
it was-
anticipated revenue was, I think, 72 and some change,
Yeah.
somewhere between 72 and 73.
All right.
And with the revised budgets that we received, with the revised revenue expectations we received from the auditor, the treasurer, across the board, all the general fund departments, our anticipated revenue, our budgeted revenue for 2024 is now closer to $76.5 million.
So that, so from the treasurer and the auditor, they're expecting a $76 million, and that's what they're anticipating
Correct.
for next year.
Correct. And it's taken into consideration the current trends of
Interest.
the sales tax, of the interest. Interest has been a large boon for the county as far as interest revenue. Jumped from, I believe, around 1 million in 2022 to this year. I believe we expect to bring in $5.7 million dollars in interest revenue in 2023, and we expect that maybe not quite as high, but we expect the interest to hold pretty fast due to the way the investment structures were locked into rates for a portion of our investment portfolio. So we have essentially a floor to that interest revenue. So we anticipate that to remain fairly high in 2024.
I hate to, well, nobody watches anyway. We hate to repeat myself, but a year ago, you and I did that analysis of 10 years on projections from the auditor's office to actual what we receive, and that's the accountants are always conservative, and you want them to be, and they've always been about 9 to 13% off, and even let's just say 10%, usually conservative, which means that using this number 7.6 or 76 million, based on a 10-year, now 11-year history. We're probably going to generate an additional 7.6 million, which would just put us right there at a balanced budget. But we really can't say that because, they're projecting a $76 million revenue stream coming in, and we're being projected here at 83 million, which is why we came up, and I don't know if you have a copy of that yet, but a new form in which for everybody doing the budgets, and we'll implement it. We're going to start implementing it now, but for next year, hopefully,
Yes.
where they can explain if we have a 3% increase in our budgets, and you see one column that's up 15 or 25%, there's another column that says, please explain in more detail why those expenses have gone up and not consistent with the previous few years, right?
Sure, I can speak to that a little bit.
Okay.
So that worksheet, at least I'd say draft worksheet has been shared with a few departments, and yes, you kind of hit the nail on the head. The plan would be to analyze budgets using trends of actual spend, as opposed to historically, we've leaned more towards comparing approved budgets to requested budgets year over year. I feel that, and I believe it's unanimous across the board up there that we feel that obviously looking at actual spend is probably the more pertinent and more accurate way of analyzing budgets. So we're going back several years, looking at actual spends of the budgets. And then, as you mentioned, when we get to the budget process, we can look at and I guess review on an exception basis, because as you mentioned, if we see a large outlier where there's a 15% increase or a 15% decrease, those exceptions stick out, and we can really look to hone in on those specific examples. Whereas again, if things are trending and staying in line with modest increases or decreases, those are obviously easily explained. So yes, those outliers, there'll be an opportunity for the departments to lay out and explain what those outliers are and what the reasoning for those outliers are. So the idea is to put this all in a single consolidated worksheet that's consistent across the table, across the board for everybody, that will allow you guys to easily, I guess, monitor exceptions when it comes to the budgets.
Well, yeah, because every year it's like, hey, we're giving money back. And I'm like, wait a minute, then what's going on here? And I think it was Jeff that you were talking with, Casey, that came up with that. Take a look at what was being spent instead of what's been budgeted every year.
Yeah.
So.
And we've also reached out. Mr. Armbruster and myself have reached out. We've spoken to we spoke with Stark County in particular to kind of pick their brains and see how they manage the process. So we've got some ideas from them So yeah, this is, again, it's a working document. We're kind of putting it out there and seeing what fits our model, and we'll tweak as necessary. But yeah, that would be the ultimate plan.
Okay. Well, the main thing is I feel that our county treasury is pretty healthy right now. So now's the time to start preparing on hopefully itemizations, and explanations from everybody. But we're not, like last year when we did this, it's not that we're not cutting the budget. We're just living with the first quarter to make sure that, is the revenues that are coming in, are we going to be on track for last year, or is it going to be like every year for the past 11 years? We're going to be increased by 10%. And then I'm hoping with what you guys are doing, we can start bringing in all the electeds and everybody in a public hearing room and then go over those discussions that you've had with them and trying to help them, because instead of arguing out in the public arena and this doesn't look right, I'd rather have everything lined up with explanations and know what we're all looking at. And
correct.
Then we'll have that debate on whether or not it's the expenses a valuable expense.
Like I said, we've had some really productive meetings to date where we're able to educate across the table, and we are able to outline what the expectations are, what the hopes are moving forward, and get everybody again on a consistent basis across the table. Everybody's I guess playing by the same rules and shooting for the same target. So again, those have been very productive, and we anticipate those to continue on into January and February. Have everybody an opportunity to speak about their budget and again give the county a model of consistency across the board.
I'd like to speak to that, and Casey, thank you for the strength of the work that you're doing, and for the public that's hopefully not still with us, but will watch us later. The main issue for the county looking forward is that we've got about $84 million in requests, and if we try to cut everybody back to the 76 million or 77 million that's predicted, that we know is conservative, there's going to be a lot of angst, because those are major cuts to what is asked. That doesn't mean that's what they're going to get, but we went through a process of meeting. Commissioner Hung and I met with the two largest, most complicated groups, the sheriffs and the prosecutor's office. And Casey was able to unveil the form that we're trying to get to, as well as the history of their expenses. And what we found is that some folks don't spend all their money, which is a good thing, but if we could budget that way a little bit tighter, somebody that really needs that money could get that money, instead of everybody turning money back in at the end of the year, and it's November, December, and it's too late to do anything with it except carry it forward. And we may have denied funding to some very good departments and projects during the year because we thought we didn't have the budget. So the key is twofold, and that is that we're trying to get people to realize what their expenditures are. And it's kind of sloppy to just say, well, here's some money and give us back what you don't use. We'd like to get it a little bit tighter, because the demands in the post ARPA days are going to be things are going to keep going up, and we're going to have less money unless the economy rebounds. So to answer to a couple of the questions over here earlier, when Commissioner Hung and I met with them, we were explaining our new process to them, as well as getting some clarification. Jeff Armbruster was in the room with us, and because we've only been here this year, we have questions so that we know what's in each line item, and can figure out where the push might be, and make sure that we're doing things consistently. Secondly, Mr. Armbruster has kind of a back burner desire to try and look at some of the things that we can coagulate, and actually, so everybody does some of the same things. If we understand what everybody's spending, we can see if there's an opportunity there to coagulate between the departments and do some better buying or utilization of services or so forth. So At this point, you know, just to show you the difference, the projection for this year was 73 million, Casey, 74? Right. At the beginning of our year, that's what the auditor told us we should expect. Our revenues, if they run true these last couple of weeks, are gonna come very close to 82 million. Well, that's great news. We're gonna get $9 million more than we thought we were gonna get. But there are people that could have used that money this year. There were things that didn't get budgeted that could have get budgeted. And next year, we're looking at 85 million of requests, and I'm hoping that what we'll do with the public when we go to public hearings, and we get everybody on the same page, and we're doing that, there will be public hearings on each department's budget so that people can see what the money's going for. But we think it's important to give the department heads a chance to tell their story and to answer questions and have a dialogue through that process. So that's why we're not trying to hide anything, but if we're gonna change the rules on some of the departments, the way they keep their budgets, we owe them an opportunity to redo their budget before we get into the public. We're not here to try and, you know, embarrass anybody, but we do have a new budget. But we're hopefully I think that what we'll do is I think we'd like to agree on a budget of about 80 million and hopefully fund some capital budgets with the last couple of million. And as the president said, you know, we do have a healthy carryover. So I think we can budget a little tighter and get some things done and not have to whack everybody's budget and give them cash for Christmas. I think there's an opportunity here that if we do have some exceptional expenses or stuff, the county is healthy, we do have a carryover that we can tack, but you know, it should not be trying to use the carryover just to fund predictable expenses. And as a last remark, we've had some ongoing discussions in the room with the sheriff's department, and they've been back here like half a dozen times this year for special appropriations. And Casey and I have been working with the sheriff's department to actually build those. They happen every year. They're gonna buy cars, they're gonna do things, and a car is not a capital expenditure. A building is a capital expenditure. A car is like a tool to do your job. So the sheriff's budget did come in remarkably higher than 23, but that's because we were working with them to include their normal everyday expenses and not have to come back to the commissioners for special appropriations half a dozen or 8 times a year. So in all defense, there was a lot of discussion over the sheriff's budget over the course of the year, and they have reduced their ask, and we have actually put money into them and told them, put this in your budget. So, and those require conversations, and at the end of the day, there'll be a public hearing, and the sheriff will get to explain their budget and, you know, as one of the largest funds in our budget, where the money's going.
Well, that goes back to the expenditure. What you know, when you recommended that take a look at the past 4 or 5 years of expenditures. So, sorry, I know you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
That's okay. I think Commissioner Riddell kind of summed up very well what's been going on in the past weeks. And I know, Mr. Baker, you brought this up about the Sunshine Law. Mr. Baker, there you are. You brought this up about the Sunshine Law. When we go into these meetings, they are purely informational meetings, and the prosecutor's office is there, so we can ask questions. Pianowski was there for the one, and you were there for the other one. So we can ask questions and gain information. When you're talking about the Sunshine Law, you're talking about having a discussion on how you're going to vote on that matter. That does not happen in the room for those types of informational discussions, just so you know. Just wanted to clarify that. I mean, we talked about things like, you know, vests for the deputies last year, you know, just kind of expenses that I was able to help with a historical perspective. And even, you know, some of the deputies didn't remember, well, why did we spend this money on that? And we were able to kind of spitball through that from a historical perspective.
That's actually a very good example, because evidently government doesn't work that way. I hear that regularly. But the sheriffs every 5 years have to replace their vests.
Yeah, and
so
he would asked about it, yeah.
They'll go for years with a very low number because they just buy vests for new employees. Okay, you know,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, all of a sudden there's this big expenditure, well, you know, the manufacturer mandates, they won't warrant the vests, so they have to be replaced like every 5 years, so.
Yeah, and then the vests have to be fitted to each individual
Yes, yes.
deputy.
So at the end of the day, there's very good reasons for some of those wild fluctuations. But what we're trying to do is wash out the ones for which there is no good reason. But thank you for your support, Commissioner.
Is there anything further?
I feel like a group hug's coming on. We haven't gone through the, don't, okay. Thanks a lot. Okay, this is page one of the, this is going to be a temporary budget for January, February, and March. And we'll see what the new president does and if he's gonna allow us to have meetings or not. So anyway, bringing everybody in. And those meetings are usually pretty good if we can, what I perceive, it's up to you, and bringing people in, 2 or 3 or 4 elected officials instead of having a special day, which we used to do. We'd spend all day Tuesday and Thursday or something to do that. But we're on page 1, and this is the budget now for each and every department. And on the left side column, that's their code, correct, Casey, that you guys use when you,
Yeah, that's the department
That's
code.
their
out of
department code?
Out of the Oracle system, correct, yeah.
right?
For each individual budget, yeah.
So with the prosecutor down, we're only gonna give him 114,000? Or is this, that's a different thing? That's IVE? Is that something different?
That's the 4E, yeah.
What's that?
The prosecutor, they essentially have 3 tiers of their.
Oh, 3 tiers. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I didn't see that. Okay. County planning. So this is everybody, what, how many pages do we have on this one? Because I know you, it's 5 pages on
one's
this
down
one?
to 5 pages,
Okay.
correct, yep.
Okay, so this is page 1. Page 2, please. And the courts, are we doing a quarterly for them or giving them for the year?
So the courts, at least the decision, when putting this together, the courts' budgets were for the full year, correct?
Okay, so this is the court's budget for the full year, so they have, how do you word this? They have a luxury that not any other elected official has, correct?
Judges make the rules that apply to other judges, I think is the way to say it.
Is that how it says this? Okay.
The courts effectively have the ability to determine, to instruct you as to how much money they need to run their offices.
Correct. Okay. So the courts and, but some of this stuff, like I believe is not mandated, but I think the commissioners and the courts get along, and I think everybody came up with some pretty good programs that the court's using to help out the community. So, and usually they'll have somebody come over and promote that. So we'll do that in January and February. So page 3, please. Okay, we have the clerk of courts, coroners. These are back, we're back to quarterlies. Yeah, we do help out with the county, the municipals, so.
Yeah, we pay 40%.
Yeah. And then we have,
Salary
And the municipal court clerks also.
and the clerk of courts.
By statute.
yep, building grounds. Did you do the whole year on common cost?
So the common cost, for just specifically for the utilities.
Oh, okay, for the whole year,
And it has to
correct?
do with establishing the purchase orders for each of the individual utilities, yes.
Okay.
There was that and the levies and assessments as well, because those are first quarter, we pay for those in the first quarter and then we dealt with them for the full year. So there were some exceptions, the courts, utilities, and then the levy assessment budget. Those are for the full year.
Okay. Page 4, please. Okay, so we're looking to fund the honor fund for the whole year. And veteran services, we're gonna give them for a quarter?
Yes, it's currently established, yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, because Jacob wanted to know if you wanted to talk about it today. He says, nah, our meeting's a little long. I don't think you need to. We'll talk to you in January about that. Okay. Page 5, please. Okay, so the total general fund, as you can see, is going to be $39,327,440. That's going to be the number for the first quarter. And then what we'll do is when we have some of our hearings in January or February, and then we'll probably have another meeting in which we'll vote for the rest of the year. And the key here is, like you said, what with the requisitions, when people come in all the time for requisitions, it's because it was above and beyond their budget, correct?
The appropriations.
Yeah, appropriations. Yeah, we're trying to stop that where people can, they're all elected officials, and so we're helping that. We're actually, I think your department's been doing a good job, and our team has been doing a good job at helping everybody so that we all are okay on how we're receiving this information and what we're receiving. So I think it's exciting. So I know budgets aren't, but
I mean, exciting, that's an interesting word, but.
I would like to add, yes, the folks should know that the judges have the ability to demand whatever it is they want, and we are required to give them because they're judges and they know. But and to their defense, all of one of the budget lines came in at less than 3% raise from 23 to 24. So, I think we should be. The courts are operating very responsibly, and it appears and they don't come back and ask for appropriations when they have issues. They work their budget and they make it happen.
and they're very good at getting more grant monies and what have you. So.
Correct. But we did analyze what they were spending too, to see if they were just, hoarding cash over there or not.
They're not.
They're not.
Right, and I think not speaking out loud, they will have the opportunity as well we'd like them to come over as well in January, February, and present their budget, and yeah.
I think we saw that earlier this year, especially with Judge Walter. There's a myriad of programs that have been developed over the last few years that are shepherded in his office. And, but not that the work of the other ones isn't important, but he's got a very interesting department over there.
Okay.
Motion in a second.
I need I'd move to approve the 2024 temporary general budget fund, pages 1 through 5.
Second?
Any further discussion? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Okay.
I think you're on number
13, we're
14.
not doing anything. 14, Job and Family Services. Authorize various personnel to utilize various credit card privileges for the year 2024 in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code and their permissible policy.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
15, authorized purchase service agreement with LexisNexis, a division of Relex, Inc., to provide a Lexus subscription. This is effective December 31st, 2024 through December 31st of 2026 in the amount of $508. The amount of $534 will be effective 1/1/25 to 12/31/25, and $561 will be effective 1/1/26 to 12/31/26, and will be paid from child support account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
16, enter in a contract with ServPro of Southern Lorain County to provide repair and restoration services to property occupied the Lorain County Department of Job and Family Services due to an extensive, real and present emergency in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 307.86A. This is due to the extensive flood damage from severe storms taking place on August 23rd through the 24th of 2023 and will be paid from the capital improvements account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
And that job's all done, I take it, right? Wake up, Jeff. They're done, right? I think they came in this week or on Tuesday night and asked.
They were putting stuff back last time.
Were they? Okay. Okay. And the insurance paid for most of that, didn't it?
It did.
How much was it? 1.5 or
Almost two.
almost 2 million? Okay.
I think it's actually a little over 2 million. We received 2 million back minus our deductible. So we've received 2 million from Corsa
Okay.
to pay for that project.
Okay, good.
And I think the auditor just required a resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was this is to satisfy code. You guys need to collectively approve or I guess
In order
assign
to-
that this
in
was an
order-
emergency.
The way that the auditor is interpreting the expenditure, in order to avoid the competitive bid rules,
Yep.
he's suggesting that you could be passed as a response to a clear and present emergency, which would require the terms as read by the clerk, and that the board unanimously agrees that there was an emergency.
Yes, there absolutely
Yep,
was.
there-
Commissioner Riddell and
yeah.
I were both there.
Okay.
Anything else? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Riddell?
All right.
Okay, under Stormwater Management, number 20, amend Resolution 23-841 adopted December 1st of 2023, awarding a contract to Dennis Concrete, Inc., Wellington, in the amount of $50,800 for the Fireland School outlet in Henrietta Township. Amendment is to include the amount of the contract as $50,080 with a contingency of $5,008 for a total of $55,088 and will be paid from contract services.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
Yep.
Commissioner,
Yeah, Don, could you tell, I thought we approved this not too long ago.
you did last week.
This is amendments, so,
One of the numbers was
Okay.
okay.
A
You
number
got
was
Jeff working in your
transposed.
department
Well,
too?
excuse me?
I said, you have Jeff working in your department too?
He is everywhere, and it's a pleasure.
I believe you,
Commissioner?
Teresa. Yeah,
and we only approved it, we didn't include the contingency in there, and it should have included it, so yes. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
yes.
Commissioner Riddell?
All right.
21, accept a grant and execute agreement with H2 Ohio statewide wetland grant program through the State of Ohio Department of Natural Resources in the amount of $1 million as part of an approximately $4.1 million project at the Gerber property, Eden Township. This will create wetlands, stream habitat, and manage stormwater and improve water quality.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
Yes, Don, would you like
Yes,
to speak to this?
A little bit.
Okay.
First of all, Board, I want to thank you, and really, it was a large team effort with the prosecutor's office, multiple people from the fourth floor administration to even get contracts put together. The state has tweaked some things, and we're getting used to it. Like Lee and Christine from the prosecutor's office, Teresa and Amy from the fourth floor have been great just to get us here. Lynn and Jessica from my office. And then this grant was helped put together by our team of KEM and Davie Resources. And this is one of two grants we have pending. I am very hopeful that we'll be back here doing a similar type of song and dance for this same property for a similar amount of money. And this is also related to our ARPA money that on our project. So this is on Fortune Ditch. So
Okay.
not only will we be cleaning out Fortune Ditch using ARPA, but then we're going to give it a place to go. So when we can get that water moving and get those properties drained upstream, we're going to give it a place to go where it can spread out, drop any sediments picked up, allow the plants in the wetlands to pick up nitrogen and phosphorus and improve that water quality before we let it go a little slower downstream, so that we're protecting upstream and downstream of this. We've done a project similar in Elyria Township known as the Lake Avenue Stream Restoration. It was roughly 20 acres, and we could get about 19 acre-feet of water storage in a project, and that's been a huge help to Sheffield Township, Elyria Township, and even the city of Lorain. This one, the parcel's roughly 60 acres. We are estimating anywhere from 60 to 90 acre-feet of storage during a storm. This is our fifth type of project of this kind where we're detaining water. This is our fourth where it's going to be more of a green infrastructure look. And just so you are aware, that coming from the H2 Ohio grant, there were only 12 grants awarded in this round. We were one of 12, and there was a total of $8.2 million awarded. We got $1 million. So
Wow.
I think we well represented ourselves in
Good.
this round of funding, and it had to do with everyone I had mentioned and a lot of people not mentioned. So thank you all.
Mr. President? Mr. President?
Yeah.
Yep, and Don, you know I'm going to bring this up. This was one of the first projects you brought to the board in 2021 when Commissioner Moore and I started. And I recall we quickly did talk to the city of North Ridgeville and Eaton Township and the benefits that it could and will provide to them. And just so people understand. Here we are 3 years later and it's happening. You keep plugging along and keep working and get that stormwater management dollars and projects and get them done. But nothing happens overnight. So we've been working on, and your team's been working on this for a long time, and thank you.
You are welcome. I did forget one important person, my landlord, the Lorain Port Authority, that worked with us on acquiring the land, and Nikki and Jim.
So how are we doing, 'cause I put a lot of pressure on you on getting those ARPA dollars out. Where are you at on that?
We have now committed, well, we have expended almost $1 million. And
Gave you a lot.
it is a lot, but most of that's design and engineering.
Okay.
So now we are in the process of bidding things out. I've got four projects about ready to bid out that are going to total another $1 million in January. We had two that were about ready to go, and because of how the calendar fell, we wanted to make sure we would fall within the timelines and not screw up. So come January, you're gonna have a Gott ditch coming, which is at least $250,000 construction estimate, and we're looking at, hopefully we can get another one there. That would basically put another $250,000, and then hopefully in January, we will be hearing about Fortune Ditch. We're still in appeal there, so I can't talk a whole lot about it, and I don't know where it'll go. But that would be another $2 million. So the money is going to be moving very quickly, and we still have a couple of designs. Russell Avenue is also under design, and that's in the right-of-way in Sheffield Township. And we'll be making a street very happy that we've got a blockage that has blown a lid up in the air. So we're continuing to make progress. The dollars are going out. And you're going to see us transitioning. While I still have planning to do and design to do on some of these projects, you're going to start seeing a lot more construction going out.
Okay. We're not going to have to give any money back, right?
Oh, hell no. I'm going to be asking for more.
Just want to make sure we get it out quickly, so.
Anything further? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Number 22, amendment resolution 08375 adopted May 29th, 2008. Excuse me, adopting the erosion and sediment control rules for Lorain County, Ohio, in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 307.79. Amendment is to reflect Lorain County Soil and Water Conservation District, now known as Lorain County Conservation District, will no longer be the administrator of such. It will be the county administrator shall have all powers and duties conferred as the board's duly authorized representative pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 307.79.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Dan, can you go over this a little bit in how it pertains to Ohio Revised Code? Because, I always get a little worried when it says transferring powers to the county administrator.
Would it apply to the Ohio Revised Code?
307.79, I guess. We don't want you messing around with that sediment.
Yeah. I think it has to do more with the
So they're just moving it from one administrator to the other, right?
right, it has to do more with the administrative roles of the two boards than it does with this board, right?
Well, it has to do with the Lorain County,
Soil, water.
yeah, it has to do with the Lorain County Conservation District.
Conservation District,
Right.
now known as the
Right.
Lorain County Conservation District.
Right.
Will no longer administer it. It's moving to the administrative role, not the policymaking role, it's moving
Right.
here.
But it's still going to be duties conferred as the board's
Yeah,
duly.
but the administrative parts of the duty will still be what's under the role, so
Correct.
it's not in a different place. It's not taking any powers from this board and granting them to ours. Is that what you're asking?
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I wasn't quite sure I'm trying to figure out what I knew about the Lorain County Conservation.
I knew what she was asking, that's all that matters.
I just wanted you to review for the public.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Is there anything further?
No.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Children's Services 23, authorize various personnel to utilize the agency's MasterCard for the year 24, not to exceed 2,500 in accordance with the ORC and their permissible policy.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Oh, wait, are you okay?
Yeah, I was just saying, boy, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, that's why they're on almost every other week, so. Aye.
Commissioner Moore? Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Mr. Riddell. 24, approve the MOU with Lorain County Children's Services and Ohio Department of Job and Family Services on responding to child abuse and neglect. This sets forth the normal operating procedures to be employed by all concerned officials in the execution of their respective responsibilities when conducting a child abuse or neglect assessment, investigation, and clearly delineates the role and responsibility of each official or agency in assessing or investigating child abuse or neglect in the county by addressing the respective duties and requirements of all involved in requirement of the Ohio Administrative Code 5101, 2 through 33 through 26.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Under the engineer, authorize engineer to prepare, sign, and submit a funding application to Ohio Public Works Commission in the amount of $106,832 or 80% of the estimated replacement cost for the emergency replacement of Griggs Road, culvert number 0427 in Huntington Township. November 17th, Griggs Road, County Road 43 was closed between Baker and Clark's Road due to the unsafe condition of the culvert 0427 as a result of severe erosion.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Administrators.
County Administrator, how are you feeling today? Do you feel
I'm
like?
feeling good.
Okay.
It's almost over. Mr. Greenspan, you want to start us off with the strategic plan update?
Oops. All right. We have that up on the screen. Thank you, County Administrator and Commissioners. I'm here, as I've been consistent in doing, at the request of Commissioner Riddell, to give updates and be transparent on the process. Oh, you're standing.
Oh, no,
Okay.
You can't see me, so I'm gonna stand.
I haven't bored you yet, so here, this is the third update as to where we are, and I think you'll be very happy with the progress we've made. So as you see here, this is the same map of timeline that you've seen. I put an arrow kind of where we are. So if you notice, we're in between phases 2 and 3, really leaning towards 3. The process is going to move very quickly from this point. The expectation is, and I'll touch on this at the end, that the report will be completed and ready for public presentation on or around April 10th. So we've moved quickly to get to this. We've moved to get to this point. We're going to move quickly to get there. The Strategic Action Plan portal, bear with me as I try to navigate this. Where's the mouse? And why is it not working? Victor needs some help here with Is it down? Is that it down at the bottom? No, I can't reach. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. So what I want to show you is the portal, and just give you a brief update. I know, Casey, I've hit my 3-minute mark, so I apologize for that. So this is the portal that we've been promoting from day one. And, initially when it was posted, there really wasn't a whole lot of information to be shared on it because we had just started the project. But now this has become a very robust tool, and I hope the public is utilizing it to see where we are in the process and how we can continue to elicit their engagement. So some of these items I'll talk about in more depth, but I just want to give you an understanding, and there's obviously Tony Gallo. He, by the way, is one not wearing purple, in case anybody didn't know who Tony was. Up at the top here are a bunch of tabs that have now become very relevant to looking at where we are in the process and the information that's available. So I'm not going to go into a lot of depth. My point in bringing this up is just to make everyone aware that this is becoming a very active a tool for the public to see what's going on and where we are in the process. Let me see if I can get back to... Oh, Victor, I think I messed that up. How do I get back to my presentation? Oh, there it is.
That was for this
Okay.
earlier today.
Okay, so I touched on that slide. I'll give you an update where we are. So the survey, both surveys, we have 2 surveys out right now. They end today. So they end today. So let me give you an idea as to where we are. We did an employee survey. We had 242 employees participate in that. And then we have Survey 1, which is concluding. You've heard me talk about that for a while. We did extend it a number of times. It was extended till today. As of yesterday, in both surveys, we had 242 employees participate. And we have, in Survey 1, 1,430 respondents. 5 of them were in Spanish. But as I said, both surveys end today. And to give you, once again, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I do want to share with you, I can figure this out. Technology is not my thing. There we go. I want to share with you some of the interesting components of this and how it can be used to drill down and get specific information. So if we look at the survey in general, it still is active, so you can still take the survey. If you look at the data validation, right? So let me see if we can get there. If you want to see, as an example, where do you live? So we did, there's some demographic information here, and I want to point that out to talk about the inclusiveness. All of each of the 34 communities participated in the survey. Now, to different degrees, obviously, but we're talking about broad representation, make sure we're capturing the feelings, the sentiment of Lorain County residents. Every community, at least someone, participated in the survey. So I bring that up to share with you the extent to which this engagement has been a widespread event. I want to show you, it's hard looking at this at an angle. If we wanted to look at other items that are here, so let's pick this one as an example, and I'll just give one example. So the item I'm going to select is under the category living and working in Lorain County. Satisfaction with living and or working in Lorain County. So if you click this on, it will give you this graphic representation as to where people felt, right? -5 is not good, it's actually very bad, and 5 is very good. So this chart right now represents everybody who responded to the survey. But if you want to break it down as an example by age group and say, okay, well, let's say that we're interested in what people, let's say 19 to 29, what do they think? How did they respond? It will break it down that way, right? So you can break down the demographics any way you want. If we want to look at older respondents, we can hit 70 to 79. And you may get a different feel. If we go to 0 to 19 years old, you get, obviously we had fewer respondents, but you kind of see where they are. But you can also break it down into other categories. So I just show that to you to give you an idea that the information is live. It's not static. You can manipulate it and to look at information that you want to look at as it relates to the responses, the nearly 1,400, over 1,400 responses. Once again, select any of these categories. The tools are there for you to look at any segment of the population of the demographics that were collected. Once again, just clicking this same one again to show you the different, you can look at age group, ethnicity, relationship to the county, how long have you lived in the county, living, and so you can click multiple aspects of it. Once again, I thought that was a very good tool for us to look at when we want to ensure the data is coming in and how it's being interpreted. So I went through the survey, the think tank. Remember we talked about having this think tank at the end of October. Once again, we had 97 people on the Monday the 30th and 70 on the next day. The think tank report, once again, I'm going to go into this, but not into a lot of depth. If I can figure this out. Okay, there we go. Once again, this think tank report is available on the portal itself under the heading think tank. And this report, by the way, is being released today. We made a commitment we'd get it released as soon as it was done. I approved the final report the other day. Included on here are all the presentations, some images, and if you go under the think tank section, the report, Okay, that was the one item that they are working on finalizing, but you have that in front of you, by the way. So I was hoping that it would be available. It will be available today. You have a copy of the draft. It says draft on it. This is the same information on the final report. This was in a Word format versus a PDF visual final presentation format that's being put together now. It goes over a lot of the information that is presented in the survey. It does go over some representation of graphics, which I was hoping to share with you on responses. And at a future date, I'll come back and give more detail on that and the responses we received there. Moving along this presentation. We did engage in some countywide workshops. So actually, as you can tell, we've been very busy since I last presented. We did 9 in-person countywide workshops throughout the county, and we did 2 virtual workshops. And we did 2, one during the day and one in the evening. So the daytime workshop, the expectation was would hope to be able to capture some of the K through 12 or some of the college students or folks that had an opportunity during the day where they didn't at night. And then we did an evening survey as well. Evening workshop that was put together as well. The agenda there is published for you to review. Once again, all this information is available on the portal. To give you an idea of these workshops, we had 9, as I mentioned, all throughout the county. The expectation there is we'd have these workshops in physical locations where residents were hopefully no more than 10 to 15-minute car drive from their home or business to be able to participate. So you can see we're in Avon Lake, North Ridgeville, Elyria, Grafton, Wellington, Oberlin, Amherst, and the city of Lorain. So we were pretty spread out, and you can see the attendance. We had 154 people attend between the 2 days of in-person and the virtual, which we just concluded yesterday. They were held this week on Tuesday and Wednesday. We had 40 people participate in those 2, and all of them participated and provided information and content, which will be summarized in the final report. Oh, I did want to comment. I made a note there. The last session on the 14th, if anybody is interested, that was recorded. It was, and it's available on the portal if somebody wanted to see what that version looked like. It was very similar to the in-person events, although a little different how we captured the data. These countywide workshops, you have a copy, by the way, of the document that was handed out. You have it visually there, but I know it's kind of small. This was a document handed out to every participant, and they were asked to engage in a number of exercises to gain more information. So I provided that information to you as well. This is the back side of the same document I just visually held up. Here's kind of where they went, where they were going with this, and this information is still being compiled because we still had 2 of those workshops this week. Is each respondent, each participant was asked to determine their least desirable future, their expected future, and their preferred future based on these 4 quadrants. So strength and tradition through innovation, unified Lorain County, the way we've always done it, and seeking the sweet spot. So everybody was asked based on a number of comments and questions, where do you think the least desirable future is for the county, based on this? Some of the early respondents, I've seen some of the results, as we would expect, was in the lower left-hand corner, right? The way we've always done it. People weren't really happy with the way we've always done it. They'd like to change that. And then future and preferred, and obviously, as you would imagine, those slanted more towards the upper right-hand quadrant to a unified Lorain County, all working more collectively together. We'll release those results once we have them, and they'll be available on the portal, and we will send that information out to the folks that have asked to receive information on the strategic plan. Benchmarking. So that's where I was just talking about benchmarking. You have in front of you, and I don't have the report yet available in digital form, but we've done some benchmarking as it relates to Lorain County to our surrounding counties and peer counties. So I won't go into a lot of detail at this point, but this information will be available on the portal, I'm hoping by the end of today. We benchmarked ourselves against Medina, Erie, Huron, Lake County, right? So some of our surrounding counties are some counties with similar attributes, as is Lake being on the lake. And then we added Stark County because we seem to be doing a lot of discussion, have a lot of discussion with Stark County. All that information, it's in the report in front of you, will illustrate where we stand against those counties. So we, and in a number of demographics. So not to go into too much detail, but some of the demographics that we look at, and I believe get to Lorain County, we compare ourselves in population, median household income, number of bachelor degrees or higher, employment rate, total housing units, number of residents without healthcare coverage, total employer establishments, total households, and Hispanic or Latino populations. So we're doing peer analysis with each of these to kind of understand where we are, and then there are a whole bunch of other benchmarking items. And as I said, that report will be available on the portal. I have it here. You all have a copy of it. Actually, County Minister Armbruster does as well. So we give you some upcoming dates, as I like to conclude with this. So December 15th is today. We will be releasing the think tank report. Survey number 1 closes. The employee survey closes. Next, January 22nd, there'll be a survey 2 that will begin. Similar process that we're under right now. February 7th and 8th, we plan on having in-person focus groups again at the college. There's the tentative schedule for Wednesday, February 7th and Thursday, February 8th. On February 26th, the survey ends. And then between February and I have April 10th is when the final report will be compiled. We'll be discussing it back and forth with Future IQ as to its content and the results. And then the expectation here is on April 10th, and we're still working this out, is to launch the Lorain County Strategic Action Plan at a future summit. So the expectation is we'll have an event at the college. We'll need to coordinate, obviously, with the commissioner's schedules and with our schedules and the college. We're working on that. The plan is right now, tentatively, it'll be on the 10th between 10 and 12 a.m. And at that point, 10 a.m. and noon. And at that point, we'll go over the entire strategic plan and the future expectations of the residents. And so we can help fulfill those. That will conclude this process, but it doesn't conclude the project, right? Project is a longer-term strategic initiative. This will give us the guidance as to how we are to then implement the plan. And
well, we must have had some people in the room today that didn't take the survey, because if the people want us to do things different than we used to do them before.
Yeah. This is, and that was one of the, if one of the participants were all shocked to find that this is the first time the county's ever done something like this. Shocked in dismay, but encouraged that this is actually moving forward.
Has Future IQ evaluated yet to see if we have a commensurate or reasonable representation? You said not all the communities participated at the same level. Mm-hmm. The question would be, did they participate at the same percentage, or
in a pro rata portion? So
pro rata, so that if we've got 80 responses from Lorain and we've got 1 from Wellington, is there a concern for that, and is there a remedial action?
Well, so the survey doesn't end until today. So once it's final, I'll ask if we can do a population relationship.
Just an evaluation to see if we think before we go and do all the planning, let's make sure that our resource that we're basing it on is appropriate.
So not to belabor this meeting, and I know you guys have been very patient. If we look at, if I can get there, if we look under survey results, there is a tab that talks about, well, I showed you that tab. I'm sorry, I already showed you that as to where folks were.
Right.
So we have that information. We'll be able to analyze it.
Okay.
Any other? I've either answered your questions or put you to sleep with no other questions.
Oh, you're fine.
Thank you, Director
All
Greenspan.
right. Thank you. Thank you, commissioners. I'll let Victor do that.
Thanks, Dave. I just want to say that I look at this as a living document. We can use it. We can use it very effectively. And quite honestly, just the other day, we reached back out to Stark County with economic development. Actually, we took the county chamber ourselves. Rob Duncan and Dave and I went over there to speak to them as to how they put their program together and how it works effectively in Stark County. And Stark is, I think, 8th. We're 9th in population. And as Casey said, we were over there from the evaluation of how they put together their budget and how they operate over there. And it just kind of happened that I don't know anybody at Stark, but we started, Casey and I and Karen, and started talking about, how do other counties work, and let's take a look. And we just fell upon Stark as something, not Erie's so small, Huron's so small, but let's take a look at somebody that is our size. And it's worked out very well from the standpoint of all the way from jails to radios to budgets to now in economic development. From a standpoint of how we've operated recently, and probably, well, maybe even longer than me being here, is community development actually is meeting with the plan is to meet with the chamber, Lisa, almost weekly to see if we can't stay in sync with one another with what we're trying to do when we're doing our business reviews and evaluations. So we are expanding, and we do work with the communities that are out there. And a suggestion earlier by MCM is that in this process of the radios that they would like to reach out, and of course I support this totally, that the mayors, managers, township trustees are in basic total dark on what this means, and they would like, when they do their presentation, that we have a mayors, managers, and trustees and villages invite them to listen to and process, so that the monies that are going to be spent by those communities, those elected officials should actually hear it from the horse's mouth, not necessarily through happenstance. So our plan is to put that out and get that, and hopefully be next week. I've got Chris making sure that we've got all the email addresses. I'm glad that MCM was able to talk to the safety forces this morning for as long as they did. I'm not sure exactly what transpired during that meeting, but we look forward to working through the process and bringing the backbone for Lorain County's 911 system in place for at least 20 years down the road. Remember, in this refresh in the 20 years that MCM talked about, it's a new system every 2 years because it's refreshed, and refreshed. And I do want to throw a shout out to Kristen Dickerhoff for the developmental kids that were back here from Murray Ridge. They will be back once a month to have their coffee shop. And I think I know they had a lot of kids. I know that there was a bunch of adults back there helping them. But as they become more comfortable with the process, and there were some that unfortunately didn't get to school today, as they hear from their kids as to what it is, I think that the participation, and what a wonderful thing for us to do as a county, to bring these kids in here and see how it actually works, rather than just taking care of the kids and the teachers at Murray Ridge. That completes my report.
Now we got to make sure we get something controversial, or nobody will be here. So they won't sell any coffee. So.
Mr. President, I'd like to address one thing, Dave, that came to mind after you sat down, and that is I want to make sure that the expectations out there, the strategic plan is not going to have all of the steps, and it's not going to have a to-do list to make Lorain County a great county. What it is going to have is a feedback of what the people expect and what they think is running well and what they think they need to see improvements in. And then it will be up to us again as the leadership of the county to work with the other constituencies and put an action plan together that meets their expectations.
Well, and thank you, and Commissioner Moore, if I may. And when I concluded, the way Dave Burrell from Future IQ and I work these these countywide workshops, is I would open and close. And in my closing, and then he filled in the middle, in my closing, one of the things I tried to emphasize was managing expectations, right? Because this report, there were 22 items identified in the think tank, and there will be more that are identified in these continuing engagement exercises. Whatever that number is at the end of the day, the Board of County Commissioners only has authority over a handful of them. right? So let's say there are 22 and we have the authority over 4. It's incumbent upon us, this is what I tell them, that the Board of County Commissioners has the ability to facilitate further discussions in items that are outside of our area of authority. And so there is an expectation of our engagement, but you're right, this is only the beginning of a longer-term process. And I'm not going to try to put a timeline once the April 10th date passes as to when people are going to see measurable results from the report, but I think what we have an obligation to do is to continuously work towards improving whatever they have identified as an issue of concern or opportunity.
I look forward to it as one of the newer elected officials in actually seeing something where the people tell us what they expect instead of us, trying to campaign and serve on what we think is best.
Well, and one further point to that, I mentioned the employee survey. So this employee survey is, just so everybody's aware, they are anonymous, but we have 242 responses. And the question that I'm most interested in evaluating is, this role, the role here of the commissioners and county administrator, is to provide the tools and environment for them to be successful in doing their job and serving the residents of the county. We receive pretty good feedback as to things we internally need to help provide them to be successful in reaching that goal of serving the 315,000 people. That's a separate part of this exercise, but the two, without them being linked and intertwined, neither will be successful, meaning we can't respond adequately to our employees if we don't keep in mind the responses of the constituents who took part in this process.
Thank you.
Okay. So our next meeting is scheduled for January 8th at 9:30, which will be the organizational meeting. January 8th at 11:30, we'll have our Transportation Improvement District meeting. January 18th at 10 o'clock will be our Land Bank meeting. Tuesday, January 24th at 9 a.m. will be Stormwater Management District. Tuesday, January 4th at 11 will be investment, and the IRS mileage reimbursement for 24 is 66 cents. I think it's going up to 68, but they haven't released it, so that's what it is now.
Okay.
I told purchasing just to make sure, since.
The organizational meeting is 9 a.m.
Excuse me?
9 a.m. for the organizational meeting. on the
9:30.
9:30.
Yes. Board correspondence?
Move to waive the reading.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Is there any new business?
Nope.
Yes.
Oh, there is. That's right.
This is my fault.
Sorry, that was 4 hours ago. Sorry.
Four and a half
4
hours
hours
ago.
ago.
Actually, this started in November. I was supposed to submit this to Teresa, and this is entirely my fault. I didn't do it. Our office receives a VOCA grant, Victims of Crime Advocates grant, from the Attorney General that pays 80% of the salary of the victims advocates that we use in our office that assist families through the court process, right? And victims as well, but for primarily families. That grant requires that the board provide a 20% cash match every year. And again, I apologize, I should have done this 6-7 weeks ago, and it never got done. So I would ask that the board support a 20% cash match for the VOCA grant from my office, with the award from the Attorney General's office being $108,253.18, leaving a local cash match needed of $27,063.21. I believe that there is a Commissioner's General Fund allocation account, and I'm not going to read all the numbers. Teresa already has them on the resolution. So I would ask that you make a motion to approve that.
I'll move that. Oh. So
You
moved.
have to move to add it to the agenda first and then
It's new
move to approve
business.
it?
I don't- it was new
Oh, okay, yeah.
business.
If
So
you want to do
moved.
it on a new business, okay, second. Does
Any
Commissioner
further
Riddell have a
discussion?
copy?
So the question is, this is an annual thing, and
Yes.
the match is in there.
Correct.
We'll have to rematch it every year.
Every year it has to be matched. The Attorney General provides the match to us, and then you guys hit the 20% so that we can fund it.
So we're getting,
Numbers change.
yeah, so we're getting roughly,
Commissioner,
yeah.
you put it under the thing.
Yeah, here, why don't we?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean put it up there on the
Just
screen?
so people can see it's an addition proposed by Assistant County
And yes,
Prosecutor
let's
Dan
put
Petticoat,
it up there, and I will say again that.
who said, what?
that Kelly Lobenthal gave this to me twice in October, November, and I was remiss in my duties in getting it over to you. So
Oh,
it was
but-
nobody else's fault but my own. All my
The-
staff did all this
yeah.
work, and I didn't.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
this is the
should-
wrong date.
Yes.
It should be December
As amended
12th.
with the correct date, yeah.
When was it supposed to be done? Like,
It says
I
October
think
12th.
it was prepared in October. She
October?
reminded
Yeah.
me in November. I was hoping to skip the October one. She
I
reminded me in
do
November.
have the one that says December
yeah.
5th.
Well, there's our match right there, 27,063.21. So,
So I apologize for this. That's my fault.
okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I think
I
you
did.
seconded it.
Okay.
Is there anything further?
Somebody seconded.
You did.
You
Okay.
did.
Very good.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Duff?
Aye.
Is there any other new business? No.
Public comment.
Yep.
Brian, thanks for being patient.
Survivor.
Brian Baker, Brownhill Township. I just want to give a little reality of the health care that was implemented for the county employees. Everybody knows my daughter works at the Board of Elections. Had a conversation with her last night. For a single mother of four, cost her $100 more a month and lost a benefit for young kids who have to go to the emergency room for $300. I heard up here numerous times we have a healthy carryover. We have budget money, and I get you have to live within your means. I think there's disgruntled employees out there because of this. I would think it'd be advantageous for Mr. Greenspan to go back out to your employees to see what they feel after this healthcare change was put in. Because I don't think it was explained to them well enough there, and I'm not taking that to you, Mr. Armbruster, if it was their people over there didn't explain it, but they didn't understand it was going to be that much money. I had a conversation with my daughter. I explained it to her. I said, healthcare costs more. Went through the whole piece. I get it, but I don't think they realized $100 a month for someone that makes less than $40,000 is different than someone who makes $100,000 and takes a hit, especially during the holidays. So my daughter, they can't take time off to come up here. I told her I would bring up here and say that. So I would just like to bring that up to you today. But I think it would be advantageous for you to go back to your employees and see how they feel now on your survey.
Yep.
One thing, Commissioner Hung, I would thank you for, asking her about the sunshine law. I would ask the president, if you're okay, if I can talk to Mr. Petticourt to see what section of the sunshine law allows that. Because I don't think it does. It's very specific in the sunshine law of what you're allowed to do. And if I'm wrong, I stand corrected, but I don't think it is. So with
You
that.
don't need our permission to talk to Mr. Petticourt. You pay his salary, you're allowed.
Well, I understand it,
Hold on,
but
I know what we're all talking about. I hope that Brian knows what we're talking about, because he and I had this discussion last night, as a matter of fact. I provide legal advice to the board. And my advice as to what is permitted, permissible, and not permissible under the sunshine law is what I give to the board in private session. Unless you guys want to formally waive that privilege right now, which I think is generally a bad idea. Just in general, I'm not saying anything about this topic, it's generally a bad idea to waive the privilege, but I think that I can talk to Brian about what I think about the sunshine law in general and give you
Okay.
the
Well-
outlines of it.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to bring that point up because if I interpret it wrong, I stand corrected though. Well, thank you, and hopefully everybody has a happy holidays.
Your daughter does, she's a wonderful gal over there and understand the challenges. Please remind her to avail herself of the totally cost-free preventive health part of the new plan.
Now, I understand it, but she has a young daughter who was born premature and goes to the emergency room on occasions because she has to, and that is a major cost that'll come to her. Now, I'm going to help her, don't get that wrong, but when things happen like that, that's not taken into consideration.
Yeah.
And so I just want to make sure you understand that though, so thank you, and hopefully
Yep.
everybody has a good holiday.
Yep, you too. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian.
Aiden? Sorry about misreading your request. You wanted to speak on the radios too,
Yeah.
so I apologize.
What can I say? One quick thing about the radios.
Go ahead.
So with the strategic plan that Mr. Greenspan was just talking about, he asked for input from the citizens as to what they wanted done in the county. There were 50, 60 first responders here who are all citizens that want the Harris radio system. So I don't understand why we're not taking that into consideration. What's the point of having a strategic plan if we're not going to listen to the citizens?
Yeah.
It's another waste of money. So, almost a year has passed since I came before this board and exposed the retaliatory and stalking behavior of Jeff Riddell's administrative assistant, John Gall. During the last year, John and other supporters of Dave Moore and Jeff Riddell have continued to harass and stalk me as well as cause emotional distress. I mean,
Hey.
multiple pleas to Jeff
Hey,
Riddell
Aiden.
and Dave Moore to
Hey,
take
Aiden.
disciplinary action.
Hey, Aiden,
Yeah,
come on.
come on, what?
You know, this is,
That has nothing to do with county business.
What?
He works for the county. You gonna let me finish?
No.
So you're gonna have me removed?
no, just,
So then
you
what's
wanted to
gonna
talk about the
happen?
radios.
I'm gonna finish.
And you had
Either you're
public
gonna remove
comment.
me or you're gonna let me
We're telling you
finish.
That subject is not county business.
You're either gonna let me finish or you're gonna have me removed.
No,
One or the
not
other.
let you finish.
Take your
Take a
pick.
seat.
Have me removed or let me finish.
Take a seat. If that's
Are
what
you
we
gonna
do,
have me removed?
No, we're not going to have you removed.
Okay, well then I'm gonna finish speaking.
No.
No, you're not.
Nope.
No, you're not.
Why not?
Meeting adjourned.
All right.
Cut it
Here we
off.
go.